Make sure everything's good. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to The Effect. This is Harmony speaking. Today is Cinco de Mayo. It's now
Hurrah!
8:38 p.m. Central Standard Time in good old Dallas, Texas. We have a special guest tonight. We have Effect the Collective. We have back again Channel Zero joining us and some other friends who are going to jump in here. We're going to have a good time for a little bit, and then, probably around 10 o'clock on my time, we'll end the show, and then it's time for me to experience my Cinco de Mayo.
Arrow!
I love that. Awesome. So go ahead, Effective, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Affected Collective, and I recently started making videos on YouTube because, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Nice.
And, I'm fresh out of bubble gum, so, but, so I've been studying, well, recently I ran across what kind of started this whole thing is I've been looking for years for videos of them constructing the LHC at CERN, and
Yeah.
I really didn't find anything but more mystery until very recently. And very recently, I started finding pictures of all kinds of other colliders. And so, after some investigation and some more investigation, I have accumulated kind of a huge database of CERN like places around the world.
Oh, only 30,000, I think. I don't know.
Well, that's how many particle accelerators there are, apparently. But I find new things every day, and some of it, just last Sunday, I think, I found a Wikipedia page with a bunch of convenient links for all the particle accelerators, colliders of big import. And I had never found that page before, although it should have taken me right to it like a long time ago. So basically, the page didn't exist, or I would have found it for sure. I mean, lots of things happen to me like that, like all the time. Anyway, I am pretty much of the feeling right now that these things are working across dimensions, if you will.
Sure.
And when they come into being, or when they, let's see, when they have, you know, figured out a quark or another thing about antimatter, and they're big after dark matter and dark energy right now. Whenever one of them comes to fruition with something, it pops into our reality. But I mean, I don't know. It's a pretty interesting phenomenon to be witnessing.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so and so I made this video recently about Fermilab, which is which
Oh,
is
yes. What is
yeah.
that? What is Thermilab? That's
What
a
is
fancy
Fermilab?
word.
And I made a little, screenshot for the video title title screen that says a CERN in Chicago. And it's not actually in Chicago, but it is right outside of Chicago at a little town I like to call Batavia.
Wow.
um, yeah, which kind of reminds me of Bavaria, which I believe was the hometown of the Illuminati, right?
Well, there you go.
Yeah, secret societies and stuff. So
Creepy
Fermilab,
stuff.
yes, Fermilab is a uh, particle accelerator laboratory that has been around since since the late 60s. And it, for years and years, it had this thing called the Tevatron, which was a particle accelerator in the 70s that would take photography pictures. And it's still going over the data from that thing, although they closed that Tevatron down in 2011 officially. But Fermilab has all kinds of other things that they do. Um, they're involved with all of the places all over the United States that have particle accelerators, colliders, and a lot of the stuff they do with dark matter is either in space or underground. For instance, they are sending neutrinos that they create. They don't use that word all the time, but that's kind of what they do. From collision events, they send neutrinos, hundreds of them at a time, across state lines into Canada and into South Dakota from Chicago, basically. So
Underground.
underground.
Yeah.
Yeah. Underground. Yeah.
Deep underground.
Yeah. And I don't think that is safe or controlled. I don't think they even use a tunnel. I think they just send them.
Neutrinos aren't that big of a deal.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that we don't know what to expect when we're messing with matter. And if we create, I don't know, we manipulate particles.
Well, what it does is it disturbs the natural energy field of that piece of real estate when they do that. That's the problem. The neutrinos are not the problem. It's the disruption of energy.
I agree. Well,
and so that's the real issue. And then we live on the Earth, and then it disrupts stuff all over the place. And it's not harmonious to the kumbaya of the planet.
Right. Well, I recently found some pictures of them constructing CERN, and it's extensive, but
well, what about that tunnel they built through the Alps?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the Gothard.
Yeah, that thing. If you look at the blueprints carefully, it circles around and does CERN stuff. I mean,
yeah, I haven't now.
It almost looks like a CERN backup, kind of. I don't know.
Well, I've heard that, and they definitely had that ritualistic ceremony that was associated.
And why spend all those years digging through that damn thing? Okay.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
And the reason is, if you analyze the material, it's because it can withstand nuclear energy.
Right. Well, I think that they're trying to withstand, I don't know, an extinction event of some kind. But the Gothard Tunnel supposedly connects. It's like the entrance to the underground cities, and it connects a couple of them. I don't know. I haven't really looked into all that myself. But anyway, so I want to talk just for a minute about Mandela effect etiquette. I know it's silly, but Miss Manor is here. But,
sure, go for it. Let's hear some Mandela effect etiquette.
Okay, so first of all, admittedly, our language is inadequate. We don't have the words to use to.
That's why I make up words.
I was going to suggest, yeah, that was.
Where do you think New Earther came from, and all those words? I mean,
New Earther, I like that. Well, what do you use for like? Well, we'll make.
I call it. There's natives and old Earthers to me. Natives and old Earthers.
Right. Okay. Well, you just think there's two.
Well, let's not get all complicated. I'm just being simple.
Well, I mean, I kind of feel like
there's a lot more than two, of course.
Right. Well, so yeah, because I don't know if I'm an old or new. I have no idea. Anyway, so our language is flawed. So I understand, we have to use the words we have, like reality is changing and things like that, which is, kind of scurry, but it's actually seems to me to be more like we're experiencing superposition. Or quantum entanglement, or quantum tunneling, but that's rare for me. It's happened a couple times, I think, but I don't think you can really witness that kind of a thing. But superposition is witnessable. So whenever, have you guys ever heard yourself like around you at all?
Like,
no?
Yeah.
You
what
have?
do you mean?
Well, like, have you ever heard you call your pet's name from a location other than where you're standing? Anything like that?
I can't pinpoint a time, but it does sound like it rings a bell to me. It's just nothing that I ever stored in my memory as far as important at the time. Now
Right.
everything's important.
Right. Everything. I pay attention a lot more than I ever did. Well, I actually experienced a week, the week that I was, telling all my friends and slowly finding out that they don't want to hear it at all. I was pretty upset that week, and I was at various locations, and I kept hearing somebody crying, and I was like, "Who? What is that?" And I verified with my friends wherever I was. I was like, "Do you hear that?" And they all thought, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's the neighbor." They all made an excuse like, "Oh, that's outside, it's somebody." And I was like, "It's not though," because I could tell it had the same every time. It had the same tone. It was the same person. It was anyway.
Huh.
Toward the end of the week, upon the discovery of turmeric being turmeric, yeah, for real, I was like, "Ah!" And I realized it was me crying that I was hearing throughout the week, and verified from my friends. So
Huh.
it stopped me. I paused, and I wasn't really crying. It was, freaking out more.
Effective Collective, real quick, I have to interrupt.
Yeah.
We accidentally blocked a person named Jamie by accident. So we want to apologize to Jamie if you're still listening. We blocked you by accident. That was not
Aw.
intentional. But go on with the show.
Is she blocked forever?
No, just for a little bit. I guess come back in. I
Forever.
don't know. It was
Okay.
so Jamie.
Come
Sorry,
back.
it's an accident. It was not your fault. It was we screwed up. Sorry, Jamie, if you're
Dang it.
listening. That we blocked you by accident.
Sorry, Jamie. Come back.
We have some questions from YouTube. Should I?
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
go for it.
so Ed Ways asked Google's sunken gateway in the ocean, and why is it so tightly secured?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I'm gonna write that down.
What'd you say? What? What's the question?
The first question is, what do you know about Google's sunken gateway in the ocean, and why is
don't
it
know.
so tightly secured?
I think I might know what you're talking about, but if you analyze it, it's an optical illusion. But I might be thinking about something else. Next question. I'm sorry, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I have a question
In
real
your
quick. if you
opinion,
don't
are there
mind.
two beings in human form that hijacked our construct that are here in human form on Earth now?
Hmm. I would.
I don't understand that question.
Say what's that question again?
Are the aliens that hijacked?
Who are the two
No,
beings
the
that?
two beings in human form that hijacked our construct that are here in human form on Earth now.
That's a very complicated question, and that would be like a whole other show.
I was.
Basically, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
You can't detect them, and just go about living your life
Yeah,
and the best you can, and don't worry about that. If you're really concerned about it, you know, I have lots of instructions on how to contact me. Go into my Discord group, and we can talk about that kind of stuff in Discord. I don't want to have that topic broadcasted live on YouTube. So, but that is a topic I am willing to answer and discuss in private in Discord.
Ooh,
Next question.
now I'm intrigued. Hey, I have a question real quick for Affected.
Yeah.
Well, I also noticed people in the chat asking. Could you maybe explain superposition, superentanglement, and
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
especially the tunneling, quantum tunneling? That
Sure.
seems to be what everybody's asking.
Absolutely, yeah, I'd love to. So all right, so quantum level behavior of matter. Usually, well, back when we lived, in our home world or whatever, it that type of thing would only happen with tiny things, particles. And now we're seeing it happen to us in our physical macro world. So, superposition is, if you visualized superposition, it would be a whole bunch of yous going about your day as if you were like a mirror looking into a mirror looking into a mirror looking into, like it would look
Okay.
like a bagillion of yous, and you would be like let's say one of you would be watching TV, or let's say watching YouTube, because that's more like what we would be doing. So one of you would be watching YouTube and another one of you would be making a sandwich in the kitchen. Then if your phone rang, all the yous would go to your phone and answer it. So for that moment, most of all of the superpositioned yous would go into one position. You guys would kind of regroup for a moment
Because
as
the focus
in that
is
moment.
on one thing, or
Well,
It's called continuity. You have to have the continuity of reality.
well, and yes, and because the person who's calling you is observing that, they're observing that they're calling you and their consciousness is involved, then when you connect with them and you guys both say hello, from that moment it would start other possibilities. So slowly you would become you'd go back into superposition with yourself. And now some people aren't very superposition-y. Like I pretty much make, I guess, the same decisions all the time, and I'm boring like that. But Guy Fawkes, for instance, has a lot of superposition experiences that I'll give you an example of a friend of mine named Jennifer. The other day, she was at work and she turned and ran into a wall. And she thought to herself, oh, I'm so foolish. And, she was picking up the drinks she dropped and she looked over at her coworker who was wide-eyed and scared and said, what did you run into? And she said, that wall. And the coworker said, what wall? And Jennifer said, oh yeah, what? There isn't a wall there. And the coworker goes, but I saw it too. I saw the wall there.
holy smokes.
Now, what I think happened there, because Jennifer always has these strange superpositioned experiences, I feel like that she is a person, she's had a few near-death experiences, and she's, well, I can't tell, but her father works at a job that is pretty high-level, sciencey-ish, and so she is very smart and more aware of what's going on than most. And she just has it just kind of comes to her. She's like a magnet for it. But I think that her consciousness is so strong that when that wall appeared, because that wall was superpositioning, it was all of a sudden there for a second because it had been built there in some dimension, in some reality at some time, but that was just a tiny possibility. So it came into being just for a moment, long enough for her to run into it.
Chance.
Yeah. And the fact that her coworker saw it is the most significant thing to me, I feel, because I think her coworker saw it because she saw it, because Jennifer didn't even think about it. She was like, I'm so silly, I ran into a wall. And I mean, she dropped waters everywhere and stuff, and she was kind of feeling embarrassed. But see, in feeling all those things, she didn't question the wall.
Yeah.
And because she didn't question the wall, it was there. It was there, and her coworker saw it, and it was in a superposition state only for a tiny second, but then it was gone again. So, all right, to explain superposition, I think it's necessary to explain how particles and waves have duality. So imagine that you throw a rock into a pond and it makes waves, right? Going out. And I always use the example of a turtle. The turtle pops his head up and the waves hit the turtle's head and they would, discontinue right there at his head. So that is basically where the wave function collapsed. It's the point at which the decision was made, it came into being, that's where the turtle was, that's where the wave stopped. So if the turtle popped up some other time and place and stopped a different point on the wave, that would be an example of a superposition state. So if the same turtle could pop up in both places at the same time and stop the wave,
The waves would
that,
collide, right?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's, I mean, I just don't think that's possible. But in the past, the turtle popped up a bunch of different places because it was in that moment that the wave function collapsed. Basically, if, well,
Well, can I give one example?
Sure.
It's actually from the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? Highly recommend that movie. What
oh,
the
that
Bleep Do
movie.
We Know? You walk on a basketball court, and there's 100 basketballs all over the court. So the basketballs are everywhere all at once. But when you walk on to the court and you say the basketball should be over in the right corner, boom, all the basketballs collapse and they all become that one basketball. And then you play basketball,
Yeah,
shoot
that's a
some
good one.
hoops. You put the basketball back down. You walk off the court. You are no longer observing. It goes into the double slit experiment. So when there's no observer, it returns to a wave pattern, which is superpositioning, and the basketballs are now 100 basketballs all over the place. But the moment there's an observer, then they collapse. The wave collapses and acts like a particle that from the double slit experiment. We know this. So when there's an observer, things collapse and act like a particle. When there's no observer, they go to a wave pattern and it's superpositioning, and everything is everywhere all at once, and there's unlimited possibilities all at once at all times, unlimited possibilities. Every single moment, every second of your life, you make a decision, you are literally affecting the reality around you because it's all connected and we're all one. Go on.
Well done, sir. And yes, so maybe I should move on to quantum entanglement.
Sure.
Sure.
That's more fun. That's my favorite thing. So quantum entanglement, theoretically, we all once were one something, and we, from some event, Big Bang, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it, we became, I don't know, we got here somehow. But since we were all one, we are still connected, theoretically. I believe we are. And that is quantum entanglement. But quantum entanglement in life can be experienced by somebody feeling pain. A girl left a comment for me the other day and said that something that freaked her out when she was in gym class in high school or so. All of a sudden, this girl fell down on the ground and started writhing in pain. And nothing had happened to her. She just had fallen down, writhing in pain. And across the gym, her twin sister had broken her leg and was totally fine, not in pain or anything, but the sister felt the broken leg pain.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I think twins have, since they have the same DNA sequence, but they're different souls. I mean, that's one of the most puzzling things. They're definitely quantum entangled. They used to be one cell, right? And one fertilized egg, and they split into two, and that's how it first started, that they split. But they always, from that event of that split, they're always going to be entangled, and that just means they can feel each other's feelings. They can.
Instead of saying entangled, I like the word connected.
I do too. Me too. It really helps.
They're not entangled. They're connected.
Right. Yeah. And so entangled particles.
I learned it as singularity, but here they call it quantum entanglement. The physics was different on my Earth. That's one of the first things I noticed.
Cool.
I had to relearn language.
Wow.
The quantum entanglement that you're describing, we described as singularity, but here singularity has to do with the event horizon and black holes and all kinds of stuff. Physics, I learned a completely different physics in this world. And I'm like having to relearn all the language. It sucks. I'm being corrected in my videos. I'll make a video like, that's not singularity, that's quantum entanglement. I'm like, what? And I'm like pulling out the books, and I'm studying, and I'm like, oh my God, they're right. Not only has the Bible changed, the physics has changed, the words have changed, the definitions have changed. They took away my Mandela equation, the most advanced mathematical logarithm known to mankind, which describes it's in
Yeah.
chaos. It's in chaos theory. It describes the exact moment that matter becomes chaos, and I
Oh.
can't freaking find that theory.
I tried to find that.
Proof. I can't find it anywhere in this
I
reality.
tried to find it everywhere. Like
I can't find it. I've searched high and low, and that math doesn't exist here. And that's what all my physics is based on, and that's why I can understand what's going on, because I bring to this world a different physics. And that's how I was able to discover I could unify the four forces. You know, I basically solved Einstein's unification theory. They stole M3 from, they did a derivative off my theory and created M theory. So I'm directly related to that as well, and I could just go on and on. It's frustrating. Anyway.
So is that where you did your thesis? Was your original place?
It's based on the Mandela equation.
Right, I remember.
And I can't find it anywhere here.
But it's 2 L's, right? It was 2 L's, and it looked like a fractal to me.
It is a fractal.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I made it your picture on my phone. That's your little.
Oh, really
picture.
cool.
Yeah, and your ringtone is Along the Watchtower.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. Just funny. FYI, you know. So you know.
Oh, by the way, we forgot the intro. So I was watching YouTube videos and I ran across your videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love your physics and your theories. And I was like, I got to have her on my show. and then a couple weeks went by, and then you contacted me. And you're like, oh, by the way, Byron, I happen to know you. You want to tell that story?
Sure. Yeah. So, you mean the story of when I went to another dimension?
No, you happen to know me from the Skype.
Definitely
days.
like to hear that, though.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next, but I like that even better, probably. Yeah. Sounds like a better story than the Skype story. But apparently we knew each other from like a year ago. She's in my Skype group.
Yeah, well, I was timid and you know, confused, and I'm really bad about Skype and phone in general. Any of my friends can testify, even the ones who have given up on me.
But anyway, small world, we found each other again.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I was like, yeah, I know you, man. And he was like, how'd you get my phone number? And I was like, you gave it to me. Oh, that was good times.
Yeah, that was funny. Well, people contact me all the time. I forget, so.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So, so this one night, I found myself in a very confusing place, and the words were a lot longer, and I pride myself on spelling. I always like won spelling bees, like it was school is a piece of cake, you know. I like to spell, and these words were about 3 times or more longer than words I was used to seeing from everyday life. And the first one I noticed was a letter that we got in the mail inviting my man to some kind of, I looked it up, and sure enough, it, you know, Google and the whole world recognized the word, but not me. And I looked it up later, and it wasn't, and I don't have the word handy, but anyway, it was like a snoring doctor or something. But the doctor had just come to town and was like, here, you know, looking for new clients, here's a discount. But it was like, you know, it wasn't like rhinoplasty or it wasn't anything I'd ever heard of. It was like, you know, orthodontic esophagus to copy. So something. And I verified later that indeed that was it. But so also the commercials and the technology was better. I felt like a stupid person in a world full of smart people. And I kept on thinking it was just me, you know, but I'd watch a commercial or something and it would be for technology I had no idea existed. I should have written it down because I don't remember now. But okay, for instance, there was this guy that I talked to who told me about being on a train that just drove right onto a boat, the entire train, a full-size train. It drove right onto a boat and then the entire boat with the train sailed across the sea. And I was like, okay, well, it must have been like a small train, like 3 cars long. And he was like, no, like 50, and I was like, how is that possible that a boat would even fit? I mean, I don't get that. And there were new words for things, like strawberry had a new word. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, what is this word, you guys? And everybody was like, oh, upajabaga, that's strawberry. And I was like, why doesn't it say strawberry then? They were like, I mean, it's just another word for strawberry. You've never heard that word? And I was like, no, okay, that's fine. But just bizarre things. And actually, Guy Fawkes is the one who helped me realize maybe I was in another dimension. My man was interesting because I had the encyclopedias out and I was physically looking through the encyclopedia, and I pointed to a random animal and said, "Do you know what that is?" And he said, "Oh, is that the deer that has gills?" And I was like, "The deer that has gills? What are you talking about? I don't know of any deer that has gills." And it turns out there is a deer that has, apparently in this reality, has spawned a myth that there was once a deer with gills. So I mean, there's remnants of like other times in other other places that the wave function landed on a different place for a bunch of stuff. I feel like in this reality that photography is worlds better. I feel like that television and movies, propaganda, that sort of thing, came along a lot earlier, and it uses more technology that I find also in the accelerator makeup, like magnets, electromagnets. Those things are really, really well understood in this world. I don't think that we were as good about magnets in my original world, but I mean, I can't prove that. I don't know.
Hey, Affected Collective, real quick.
Yeah.
We've been doing the live stream for about 30 minutes. I always like taking a quick break. So I'm going to take a quick break. Folks in the chat room, I forgot to say you're on a 5-second delay. So when you type something, comments come up 5 seconds at a time. So that's why the chat room's running so slow. Just so you know, there's a 5-second delay. And if like 5 people in front of you type something, you got 20 seconds until your question pops up. So at this time, if you have a question, go ahead and ask a question. In the meantime, Effective, keep talking for a minute. I'll be back in 2 minutes, folks, okay?
All right, so I was just looking at the chat and somebody asked, would it be possible to experience different possibilities and move between superpositions? I suppose it probably would. So moving between realities or possibilities, that would be, I think, defined as quantum tunneling. So when particles, or us, we'll say particles, are in a state of superposition, they can be in they can be in one or more places and times at the same time. So if they want to talk to each other, or if they want to go from one into another dimension, reality, what have you, then they would tunnel. Now, particles can pretty easily tunnel through just about everything. And when that happens, let's say they tunneled through us, like through our leg. That would leave small augmentations in our DNA, in our particles in our leg. And if it happened enough times and enough particles tunneled through us, then it would greatly affect our leg. But I think it would be possible, if you were a particle, to tunnel from one place to another. You would just have to be quantum entangled, I guess, so that you would know where and when your counterpart was so that you could go join them. And quantum entanglement, that connectedness, would allow you to both know where each other were at all times and what you're experiencing. So that would be, it would be easy for particles, but I don't know how you would even visualize it with
Like
yourself.
like a Stargate or something like that, or a wormhole, perhaps? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I guess you could look at it like that. So the thing about connectedness, quantum entanglement, is that it happens instantly and it's faster than the speed of light. So it's so, it's the thing that Einstein called spooky action at a distance, because entangled particles, no matter how far apart they were in time or space from each other, they still reacted the same way at the same time, faster than the speed of light. And they didn't have to communicate or be physically connected. They were consciously connected. And that's what I wish the scientists would be studying, because that's the mystery of quantum physics. It's our connectedness through consciousness. So unfortunately, instead of that, we are colliding particles, and that creates quantum entanglement from events of collision. So every time they collide particles, there's a whole lot of forced quantum entanglement, and those particles could get sent out into the world nefariously, in fact, even programmed to go to a certain place and perform a certain task. And because they move seamlessly across time and space, they don't observe the laws of time and space, they could go to, let's say, the grassy knoll, and some of them would be naturally back in the 60s and would change the car around, but it would happen seamlessly just from them being sent to that location and having been quantum entangled from an event together. Does that make sense?
I think so. I'm going to definitely
Well,
have to.
how about this? Could you apply to this to a Bluebeard's experience?
You mean where he is? Is he back? He's not back yet. He's still
back.
in. He is? Okay.
You didn't know.
Well-
Oh, you're not up to speed. So he's
So
come back.
he tunneled. I would say that was a very good example of tunneling between worlds. I don't know how he did it, but I think kind of anything can become a tunnel. I mean, people have talked about going through their dishwashers or under their sink and found,
it's true.
and found themselves in a portal.
Yeah,
I think it's
actually true.
I think it's a conscious connection.
I hate to admit, but those are true stories.
They really are, and
Some, not all.
not all, but I think that we have to, we have to at least entertain the notion to find the answers. We have to look at all possibilities. And here's something I was going to talk about. So the etiquette that I was talking about earlier. When people say, "No, that's wrong. You're wrong. That is not a Mandela." All right. The thing is, it's impossible to know what one person is affected by if you are not them.
Right.
So when people say this isn't a Mandela effect, Fermilab has been there. I've been there. I've driven past it every day of my life. So you're wrong, and stop spreading false information. I would say, thank you for your comment, kindly, but it's true that it has existed always, but the thing that they have is an anchor. So when you're anchored to something, it means you have an association in your mind. Like if I was a manufacturer of traffic lights, I would be very anchored, having worked on them every day of my life. And if somebody said, the green used to be on top, but I had an anchor of always making the red, I'm a victim of quantum entanglement having seamlessly and instantly changed across time and space. And if you're anchored to something, it's very unsettling to realize, oh, okay, so Tom Cruise doesn't wear sunglasses anymore in Risky Business. Well, that's just wrong. I mean, it's funny that all of our pop culture um, uh, Mandela effects are the ones that people believe. Like everybody has that one that they can't get over Jiffy, or they can't get over whatever. I couldn't get over that Harmony came out with that video that said our anatomy was changed. That's what did it for me. I was like, what?
Yeah, me too.
I mean, that's when I joined his group. I was like, okay, I'll make a Skype account. But yeah, it's unsettling to think, how did our skeletons get changed? How did our
and then they change again.
Right.
Like the holes in the skull is brand new to me.
That is so weird. Yeah.
I used to draw skulls all the time, and those are noticeable to me, and
absolutely. Oh, the young lady Jennifer, who I was talking about, she actually broke the bone behind her eye when she got in a car wreck, and I didn't even think that's how she learned there was a bone behind her eye. But what an unpleasant way to learn that too. But I don't remember that ever being there. The thing is, if it has changed our very ancestry, I mean, across, what's that noise? That was interesting. Across time and space, that's significant. That's something it has been messed with. I believe in Star Trek they would call it a temporal shift or adjustment. It was the temporal flux makes it where time has been changed, and it's like, did you get the memo? Yeah, all that's changed now. So it's unsettling to realize that quantum shifts have been happening in our macroverse, but it used to just happen in our microverse.
Yeah, I like what you were saying about like that not being a Mandela effect. People disagreeing on different effects.
Right.
I guess I'm trying to understand what you mean, because one for me was that's not a Mandela effect to me, because I knew about it. Was I keep seeing these videos for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song, the longer version
with the champagne and the.
Well, where he goes on he takes the whole plane.
Yeah.
I used to have it was Will Smith's or Fresh Prince's greatest hits, and it came out in like '97.
Yeah, a few people were familiar with that.
And that's the first time I'd ever heard that version, but I've known about it since '97. So when these videos came out, I'm guilty of telling people, no, that's a thing. And then they would get in the argument of, well, it's a Mandela effect to me. And what I'm asking is, if say 95% of the examples I agree with, then are we just from different Earths where just one thing, five things have changed?
All right, here.
I would say that you were anchored. I would say you have an anchor too.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand how that works, I guess.
Well, the main thing my main point about etiquette is to say, oh, okay, that wasn't an effect for you. Well, here's what I know about it, and it's healthy to talk about it like, oh, what do you know, rather than
effect inspiring. Let me interrupt for a minute.
Go for it.
Basically, the Mandela effect encompasses kind of like all conspiracy theories, and it's this huge umbrella. Is certain factors are D-weight, this, that you can go on down the list, pull out your checklist, and go check. Mandela effect covers like all conspiracy theories. Now, one aspect that I have intimate knowledge of, and I know this to be true, and it's a fact, and they move thousands of people every day. There's a huge transport system where they move you between these different Earths, these different realities. And why they do it, well, that's another show. The point is that they do it, and I'm aware of it, and it's a fact. And the thing is, you'll have a news reporter, an editor of a newspaper, whatever, or they're writing a TV guide, and they'll put in there, Berenstein Bears, and everybody knows it's Berenstein. You don't have to fact check it. and that's how it shows up in the TV guide as Berenstain Bears.
Mhm.
And they did that on this Earth, and then they get picked up and they get moved to another Earth, back to the other Earth where it is Berenstain Bears. But on
Right.
this Earth, it's Berenstain, and what they did here stays here, and that's what residue is. It's people being moved from one Earth, one reality, one timeline, one dimension, whatever you want to say it. People really are. I know this firsthand knowledge. It is a fact. Thousands of people every day get picked up and moved from one Earth to another. And the thing is, you take all your memories with you, and whatever job you're doing, it may not make sense, but you have to understand this superpositioning idea, where in reality you're doing all these things all at once, and they move you to a different Earth, but the things are different. The movie lines are different. This is different. Geography is different. But the thing is, you have your memories, and you do your job. And let's say you're an actor, and you do a part in a movie, and you do it the way you're supposed to, and then you get picked up and you get moved back to your old Earth. But then that becomes a residue. Does that make sense, or am I talking too fast?
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
All right, so the idea of now I'm not explaining all residue. I'm not being all encompassing. I'm talking about a very small fragment. And that's my explanation of how residue happens, and I've percent now that's how it does happen.
So I want to say something.
Yeah.
One thing that has helped me a lot, and this is kind of silly, but the show Rick and Morty.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar with it, and it's
I
not
don't.
it's not a Christian show, I'm going to tell everybody right now, but it's hilarious,
Yeah.
and they often go into alternate dimensions and they meet other versions of themselves. So there's one that's called like the Rickest Rick or the Mortiest Morty. And in that one, they talk about, they kind of save the day and they save all these other Mortys. And they get accused by all the Ricks of, being a murderer and whatnot. But to imagine being one of those characters and meeting other versions of yourself, it would be unsettling. Like, if you can imagine that, that's a strange thing. But I think I've used that as sort of I don't know, a way to wrap my head around it visually, especially with the people who have died and they're not dead in another reality. That, to me, begs the question: where are you if you are dead in one reality and not dead in another? Where's your soul? Where's your...
Interesting. Have you ever seen the movie The One? It's a Jet Li movie, but it's amazing as far as its theories on this whole thing. Have you ever heard? What it is imagine, say, 10 different timelines, and they all share one energy. So like 10 versions of you share one energy, and one version of you is an asshole, excuse my language, but he starts killing off each version and getting more powerful.
Oh, I have seen that.
Until there's only two, and then they're sharing the same energy, so they're both super powerful. Is that kind of what you're...
that is it? Was it made in the 90s?
Maybe early 2000s, mid 2000s, I'm guessing.
Okay. Or maybe it was different for us. Maybe it was...
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, superposition. So yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna have to watch that movie again, definitely.
Yeah, me too.
That's a good one. And see, okay, I have an anchor about that movie. I watched it with a friend of mine who died when I was, well, I don't want to give away my age. When I was a young girl, and I still am.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that it had to have been the 90s because I don't think he made it to 2000. And so, there's those anchors that it's like, wait a minute, this doesn't work. I've noticed that as I'm researching all the CERN type places, and they're all over the United States, they're usually associated with a college. They're all funded from the Department of Energy. A lot of them are at nuclear facilities that have changed into super science facilities, and they get funding from like every science grant possible. But I've noticed that there are always inconsistencies of what I've written down as like the dates or the a lot of dates. And the dates will be off by sometimes months, sometimes years. In fact, this is a good one. Okay, so on my Fermilab video, a woman commented one day that she had done an internship when she was in college for a year at Fermilab, and she was like, "I'm so glad someone's finally talking about this place. I was wondering how long it would take people to, know it was there." And I said, "You did an internship? Oh my gosh, what was it like? Did you go to the tunnels? Did you, I was asking her a million questions. Did you meet the Felicia the ferret? Because they had a ferret they would send through the tunnels with a rag tied to it, her tail, and that would be how they cleaned the machines." So that's
Very
pretty
technical.
It's pretty weird. Well, and it made me think, when I learned that, it made me think of the weasel accident at CERN. Like, did they kill their weasel? But anyway, so
Probably did.
I rest in peace. Go with God, weasel. But so the girl who had done the internship, I love your laugh, Harmony. The girl who had done the internship, I was asking her more details, and she was very forthcoming about the details. But when we got right down to it, she said that the Tevatron was new, and that and she saw the magnets in the tunnels and stuff, but she said that she was there right when they discovered the first quark that they discovered. And I knew that was like 93 or 95. They discovered a couple of them there. And so I went to look in my notes, and then I told her, "Do you remember if it was around April so-and-so of 90, like, do you remember if it was in reference to April Fool's Day?" And she goes, and she was writing at the same time, and her comment posted the same time with my comment, and she said, "So I guess it was 82, 83." And I was like, whoa, that's a lot different than 93 or 5 or what. So she goes, "Oh, well, maybe I'm remembering wrong." And I said, "No, ma'am, you are not remembering wrong. You have just cracked the case. Can I please use your comment and your testimony as, in a video?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure. But you know what it was, probably," because she starts rationalizing, as we all do. It's our natural, tendency to explain things so that we can understand them.
Right.
And quantum behavior doesn't doesn't do that. So she said, "Well, what must have happened was they probably told us before they officially announced it." And I was like, I like where you're trying to go there, but it wouldn't have been 10 years or more, and they wouldn't have told a bunch of interns and then not actually announced it for, I don't know, 10 years. I mean, that's ridiculous. But I believe her that while she was there, and it was in the 80s, because she has an anchor when she went to college, obviously. And that's a strong anchor. She knows for certain she went to college around 82, 83, not 93 or whatever. So because of that anchor, she experienced a reality where in the 80s, Fermilab had already discovered the quarks from the Tevatron. Now, I have read that they discovered the quarks from a different experiment, and I've read a couple different places, a couple different names of the experiments, but they always are changing the names of their facilities, of their organizations, of their, like, for instance,
Wait,
SLAP.
so the bomb line is they're always hiding
Yeah.
their tracks.
They are always hiding their tracks. And this is something that all the scientists do in the world. So they say something and immediately contradict themselves in the same sentence. Like, for instance, "We don't know that dark matter and dark energy even exist, but we know that they formed the planets, and we know that they were around in abundance," and all this stuff. And it's like, how do you know those things if you don't know that it exists? And the thing about that kind of a statement is, they've made, I remember when people would make that kind of a statement about antimatter, and now, as of today, antimatter is not only formed, and then they lock it into chambers for a good amount of time and just keep it around in this realm where it doesn't like to be. It's I remember when they would make those kind of statements about antimatter not being yet discovered, but now there are many antiparticles, and in fact we form them. They like to use the word create, but I think that's incorrect. They don't.
Hey,
Hi.
Oh, Life Matrix. Hey, how you doing there?
Oh, what's up? Hi.
hey.
What up?
Hey, I'm glad you got in. I wasn't paying attention to the Google Hangout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really has. You're
Well,
right.
it's about. We should have done this a year ago, Life Matrix. I don't know why we didn't, but
I was
oh,
in
yeah.
another dimension.
this technology didn't exist a year ago. I'm sorry.
Well, not where I was. Or,
What do you mean? It's always been here, man.
No, the Google Hangout live stream is actually a new feature, but live streaming's old. I'm playing around.
Oh,
Go
I'm
ahead,
kidding
Life
too.
Matrix.
Mhm. Mhm. I know. Yeah. Well, yeah. No, absolutely not. You were brought here by reasons totally unassociated, and if you have any association with them at all, it is as their nemesis and you're a formidable opponent. But they had nothing to do with bringing you here. They, in fact, I think, are from a see. I think CERN. I think the LHC, the CMS experiment. I think that that was the machine that actually was able to do whatever it is they're trying to do, bring other things into this world that don't belong here, is what I think. But I think that none of the building of it, no pictures existed of its manufacturing until very recently, because it's just now coming into formation. That's hard to wrap your head around, and I don't even.
I agree. Oh, there's a huge discrepancy, Life Matrix, on that. I have a lot of data on that, actually. A lot of comments on my YouTubes about that. There's a huge discrepancy of when they
Oh,
came
hey,
into
you
existence.
guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
There a bunch of people are saying that the mics aren't working. They say they can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
They say Matrix Life is, or
Life
Matrix.
Matrix, life is. Who else mic isn't working? You guys? Yeah, mic
Well,
check.
they can't hear him. They can hear
Right,
him.
my husband just told me that he can only hear me through the line because he's actually plugged in and he's a genius and figured out
They're
how to-
saying just Life Matrix.
just Life Matrix.
Yeah. Oh.
I can hear you
Check.
perfect.
I hear you just fine, but
Can't hear him. Nope. Is life on? Cool.
people are excited.
Life is on right now.
Let's see here.
Life Matrix is not working still, I guess. So
Yeah, weird.
give us some ABCs or test mic.
Well, he has a 20-second delay, you know.
Well, and like
He
I-
does.
There you go. He laughed, yeah.
how's your cat today?
well, I noticed I can't click on like his screen, his little box, and I'm wondering.
Well, we can hear him. I don't know about, so the live stream cannot hear him. But
Yeah,
everyone in Google Hangouts can hear him. And I think
the
Just
live stream can't hear him. Okay.
so. It's only the live stream is what they're saying.
Question. The
No voices other
loves
than
the
guests.
mother.
Hmm.
There's-
Me.
Can we hear more about when she heard herself about crying?
Okay. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks for stopping by.
Much love, brother.
Later. Bye.
Take care, Life Ventures. So,
Okay, yeah. All right, so test. Can you guys
Check. Can anybody
check?
hear zero? Channel
Mic
zero?
check. Mic check.
guys, I
Did
think
we? Oh, go ahead.
I think the sound was working fine. I think we had a troll saying we couldn't hear him.
It seemed like a bunch of people were saying it, but I'm
Well,
not.
A bunch were. I wasn't reading the text.
yeah, a bunch of people were saying it, and my man doesn't lie, and he was saying it. So I promise.
Did we
Well,
lose?
that really sucks. Well, I don't know why we couldn't hear him.
Did we lose Guy Fawkes as well? I see his screen here, but
Oh, they want to know more about when I heard myself crying.
yeah.
Okay, well, so I had heard. Well, basically, that week I was telling my people about the Mandela effect, and so when I was hearing myself crying, those were times that I hadn't yet told that friend in another reality, we'll say. So I could hear myself at a very emotional point, and I think that's why I was able to hear myself. Well, also I'm loud, but I could hear myself upset and distraught, because at that moment, for that version of me, I was telling my friend, even though I had already told my friend earlier, like in the week, I was hearing myself at a different time. Like there was a few of myself who didn't want to tell my friends right away. I can totally understand that. And some of myselves were braver than others. And so I don't know. What is it you guys want to know exactly? Because basically hearing yourself, and I know that people have heard, oh, okay, well, here's something. I experience superposition all the time whenever I'm playing guitar and singing. So it's very strange because I can just hear myself strumming or singing right next to my voice. It's like an echo effect. But if I stop playing or try to listen to it, it makes me stop. So I have no choice but to continue playing and singing. And especially if I'm doing a show, people are watching and enjoying the music, so I have to continue singing. But it's like, hey, it's so weird. It's so weird.
That is weird.
But that's my superposition experience. So I would suggest that if you hear something in your kitchen, let's say, and you're watching TV, probably if it's not your dog and it's, it definitely a noise that you're not familiar with in your house, consider that it might be you and think about it. What would you be doing right now in the kitchen? Like if you hear a noise that, like I hear myself giggle sometimes, and it's kind of bizarre, but I've learned it's me. And I think when you accept that, and you accept that it's just you, and your physical past and future is a little bit askew, just slightly, from what you're experiencing, but everything's okay. It's just because of the changes that are happening. I mean, it's the thing about it is it's happening to all of us. We are all in this together, and it's very upsetting for people, and we have to empathize. We have to understand that, and we have to listen to people, because for instance, I didn't understand what Guy Fawkes meant for the longest time, talking about the Chevrolet logo had changed.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not really familiar. And then one day, walking my dog, I was like, whoa, it's square. It's freaking square. That is wrong. And I had just not really looked at it or paid attention, or I don't know. It's like when we really listen to each other, and somebody, for instance, says, like, I know you, and you say, you do? Oh, well, where do you know me from? Listen and
Yeah.
consider that maybe they really do know you or whatever have you. I mean, there are a million instances in the day that you can check to see if you're experiencing superposition. I've also had the experience lately of quantum entanglement. Well, I think it's quantum entanglement. When you synchronicity, when you hear somebody say something and it's the same word you're typing, but they couldn't have known you were using that word. I had an experience just today where I was typing about a haunted, ghostly encounter that I had with a video that I'm going to put out actually tonight or tomorrow. And while I was typing about this ghost experience, somebody who was typing a comment to me who was emotional, and again, emotional, that has a lot to do with when we can pick up on it. If it's a high level of emotion, it's like it's more of a signal to pick up. But somebody was commenting to me, and they saw they read the word wrong, and they said something about, you answered ghosts but you don't answer my comments. And I was like, well, Dan, how'd you know that? Where's the camera? That's not cool. How'd you know that I was haunted lately? And he was like, oh no, well, I'm psychic and I know all these things. And no, man, it's I read it wrong. And I was like,
Hey, Effective, let me interrupt real quick.
yeah.
It's been 30 minutes. I always take a quick break every 30 minutes. To the live chat,
Live.
I will post a link if you would like to join the live stream. So I'm going to post a link in a minute.
Synchronicity, yeah.
And I'll be back in 2 minutes, and I'll post the link to the live stream.
All right. So yeah, somebody said synchronicity is crazy. Yeah, every single second is like, well, not every day, not every single second every day, but some days it's so intensely every second that I don't even clock it. I just and I feel like on those days when it's synchronicity running high, you're more on your path than usual, I think. And it's definitely a sign of God. It's definitely a closeness with, an in touchness with the cosmos and your spirit. Things are aligned that day. But synchronicity is awesome.
I wanted to like what you were talking about hearing yourself. Is it? I guess it would be possible that your other self would be aware of you, perhaps. And the reason why I ask is because I hear my name called all the time and nobody's around.
Interesting.
And sometimes I'll think my brother's saying something to me, and I distinctly hear words, and nobody's around.
Well, do you think that you would, if you were in a superposition state, do you think you would call out to yourself?
Yeah, because
because I wouldn't call out to myself. I'd probably scare myself. But
if I knew, if like I'm just learning about this now. I mean, I watched your video, but I'm just now thinking about it.
Right.
And
well, you said yes. That was I think because you immediately said yes, that it is you that you.
Yeah. Well, I believe the reason why I say yes is because I'm so outside the box compared to anybody I know.
That is pretty outside the box, dude.
that I would even answer back if I thought something was going on,
You
but
should.
And I'm going to now.
Totally. And keeping a journal is a good idea. Yeah. I've always kept writing books, so I fill them up like I have bookshelves of them. So I didn't think about it until later to start telling people to just keep a little notebook or, make notes on paper, whatever you can, write things down, because it's so helpful, especially in times of, when it gets hard to understand, when it gets too much, and it's, like sometimes it gets too much, but, keeping a notebook and going back over and reading that kind of stuff is so helpful. And it's you. It really puts you in touch with yourself. Something about the Mandela effect is it changes things, but not. It changes just our perspectives on the world, and on ourselves. We have to relearn everything. And I think we should be. I think we should be
Yeah.
looking at the world through a child's eyes,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
as if we're seeing everything for the first time.
That's true.
I agree. And then I also wanted to say that I do remember the Chevy logo being slanted. I used to sell Chevys.
That's great.
Oh,
and-
really?
And from 05 to about 2000.
I sell Chevys too. Isn't that funny in Las Vegas?
But it's weird is the new the way it is now looks familiar to me. But when I saw somewhere somebody found a license plate cover that had the slanted version on it, and that's when it hit me. It hit me, and I go, "Whoa, well, yeah, I do remember that." But I seem to only
it was slanted. Yeah.
I seem to only remember it on like old IROCs or something, like old Camaros for some reason.
That's funny. Well, okay, so check it out. You probably have some kind of anchor with Camaro, but I was going to say that now our memories.
Oh, real quick, I
yeah.
posted in the chat the invite if anybody wants to join.
Oh, okay.
The live stream now. I posted the invite.
He posted the invite in the chat if you want to join. He posted the invite in the chat if you want to join.
There's in the chat, like a lot of comments are getting deleted. Is that your moderator or?
No. Okay, so to the chat room, we are experiencing a major technical glitch. Comments are being deleted, but we are not deleting them.
I just saw them. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so comments are being deleted, and we are not doing that.
What the haystacks?
Yeah, we are experiencing major technical glitch.
Everyone, concentrate on not letting that happen.
Here's the good news. We don't have any bad things happening. So what if a couple comments get deleted?
It's the controllers of reality don't like this conversation.
Well, I think, yeah, it's probably true.
Well, I don't know who Jackal, I don't know, but so we apologize. The comments are a little messed up.
I just want to say on behalf of everyone whose comments are being deleted.
In Life Matrix, real quick,
I'm
if
sorry.
you try to come back in again, try to come back in again. The link is there if you want to come back in again, Life Matrix.
So memories of superposition. I think it's absolutely a regular occurrence that I wake up remembering something one day, and then the next day that might just seem like the most distant memory, and I feel like I'm, how did I remember it so well yesterday, and it's just so unfamiliar to me today. I pay attention to that kind of thing, because it's an example of superposition. I think that what else was I going to say? Basically, if you remember the Chevy logo both ways, that's actually completely feasible too. The way that particles and waves work is, when they're waves and when they're unobserved, they can, tunnel right into your brain. And so literally being in the now influences your thoughts. If you don't trust your memory, the consciousness is in the now, so it might come and overwrite, and that I think happens to some people. But if you know what's going on and you trust your memory, and I think we all should trust our memories and trust your thoughts, but be open to discussion. There is no right and wrong. It's like, there are things you shouldn't do. There's bad and good, but there isn't a right and wrong way to look at things. There isn't, we don't have time for that. We should all be cooperating. But I think that I've totally had both memories, but Berenstain is not one of them.
Not at all.
And that's one that really rings through. I think that one, if the first wave of the effects with the Forrest Gump line and the Star Wars, if all of those were input into a computer, like let's say the guys at D-Wave were like, oh, this would be hilarious if we did, and they input those, I think that one was not on the agenda. I don't think that was on purpose. I think that one was the one that got astray first, because it was people's last name. Mike Berenstain knows his name to be Berenstain because obviously he's anchored to having been raised in the now verse, right? Like So it's always going to have seamlessly been integrated. He's always been Stain. But to us, who were not in that family, who memorized it in a way that it either reminded them of Frankenstein or for whatever reason, we know it was Steen or
Right.
Stein, but certainly not Stain. And anyway,
I
think I
go
think
ahead.
also, well, just lastly, there are deeper levels of meaning in everything, and especially with effects. The word stain means something ugly, and it's like a stain. I mean, it literally is a stain over what our
Mhm.
reality was. So, I mean, that I like to look deeper into the meanings of the effects because I feel like that gives me command over them. Like it gives me, I'm not afraid of them. You know, if it's like, aha, I get you that Darth Vader is the Dark Father. You know,
Sure.
it's just German and saying, no, I'm your father. I know what you're trying to say, and you're not fooling anybody, buddy.
Um, Influenza One Patterns asked, "What's with the CERN Shiva statue and dance?"
Excellent question. Well, so I mean, I don't know if you want to take this one, Harmony, but Shiva is the Hindu god, and it's actually not a goddess; it's a god. But the CERN statue does look very feminine. Um, is Shiva comes and does a dance when it's the dance of destruction. So Shiva comes and does the dance when everything is to be destroyed. And then I believe Shiva turns into Kali and like kills and slaughters everybody. And then the world is reborn. So the fact that that deity, who is the bringer of destruction so that the new world can become, that is very inappropriate, in my opinion,
Exactly.
to be associated with the CERN place at all. And it's creepy how they have it. They did it on purpose. How that it shine, its shadow is big on the wall. That's all. That's just nefarious. That's just goodness.
If you don't mind, I had a
Real quick, we had some people jump in the show, so I want to welcome them real quick. Testimonial, are you able to speak?
looks like they're all muted. Oh, there we go.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Testimonial, welcome to the show.
That's funny.
Well, you're now on the live stream, so you're
We're
live over
live.
YouTube.
Cinco de Mayo.
This is the live show, honey. So, did you have something you would like to ask us?
Do you
Yeah.
have any questions?
How about your top three?
I was going to promote your channel, actually. I think now can I promote your channel? So I know this girl. She just started this channel because she is there to help, and she's helped me a lot. I know in conversation. Just she's calming and she's smart and she is a great listener. And it's like she's meant to do this based on her strange experience, both terrestrial or extraterrestrial and extra dimensional. What would you say? Like,
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
she's had supernatural experiences. She's had.
So, how many videos do you have?
I have a few. I'm just getting it off the ground. But what I put up and shared about is this strange face anomaly, sky anomaly. And when I zoomed in,
Yeah.
it is a really wild face. It is almost like the negative.
You saw something really bizarre in the sky and created a portal, and you got information from it.
I think.
And it started changing. I was a witness to this. It started smiling and
yeah, okay.
It was
But
bizarre.
that's how you feel. Did you feel an information flow come from it?
Okay. Well, right before I snapped the picture, I felt all of a sudden I was going into my house and I had no plan to snap this picture. It was by the sun. and I just held my camera up and I snapped because, you know, I can't really stare at the sun, but I just like had a feeling, take a picture, you know,
Yeah.
and I snapped 3 pictures and I was going to do another and I had a feeling to just suddenly stop. So I stopped and I went on inside and I looked at them and I was like blown away by what I saw. And I shared on private messenger this image and it started morphing before our eyes.
Really?
It started smiling. The face changed and I really,
I believe
yeah,
that.
honestly, it's
Yeah.
so wild.
Definitely gonna check that out.
Well, you're
after
gonna.
this.
If you can do me a favor, on the top left-hand side, you'll see a little message icon,
Okay.
Message.
and click that. And can you post the link to your channel there?
The top left.
Yeah, top left. You see a little message icon.
I do not.
Sorry, everybody, that the sound is giving everyone problems.
Let's see. It may be because of the tablet that I'm on. If I, let's see, let me look.
Just
People
throw
can't
it
hear her.
along. Yeah. No, filter things.
Oh, they can't. Okay.
I was
Yeah.
hoping to
Oops.
ask Affected a question about
Sure.
something she was just talking about. You were saying like the Berenstains or the Steen stains, how they weren't possibly edited by whoever. But what about Sally Fields, where her tie to everything with Forrest Gump, with You Like Me, You Really Like Me, with her name
Right.
changing, and her
Right.
brother being at CERN? I feel like almost like, hey, is there any way you can maybe change my quote, because I'm pretty embarrassed about that? And there was almost like, well, we can, but we're going to have to change a few other things to make it work. You know, I don't know.
That's a good question. That's an excellent. That's
there
an
could be
excellent theory.
documentaries just on her in this whole thing.
She is. You're right. You're right. She's a central player. Well, now, so there are also people that have been replaced, and I'm talking mostly about, well, Frank Sinatra and Doris Day are the ones I would mention.
Mhm.
And because they were replaced at the time that they were, and then the replacement immediately fast-tracked into movies and propaganda posters everywhere, we have in our minds what those people look like, and it's not the original people who had the talent.
Mhm.
And okay, just the ties with Doris Day go deeply into the Manson family murders. The Terry Melcher, I think, was her son, Doris Day's son, the replacement Doris Day. He was the one who owned the house that the Sharon Tate lived in. Anyway, I'm just saying that the connections between things seem to run even deeper than they ever have before. And I agree with you that a book could be written about Sally Field and her connection with CERN, and her, you know, the parts she's played are,
Mhm.
they're, I mean, I don't know.
You guys, real quick, I'd like to welcome Joe to the show, who joined us. Joe, you there?
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? He went down to shoot his old lady.
So, Joe, we can't. Joe, can we hear you?
We got Matrix in here again too.
Live Matrix, you there?
He looks muted as well.
Joe and Life Matrix. Oh, Joe's now unmuted. Oh no, he's not. Okay. Joe and Life
Matrix,
Matrix
you
are
there?
both muted.
Live Matrix.
Live Matrix.
Hey, it's
He's
Lifey.
All right, we can hear
All
you.
right, happy Cinco de Mayo, man.
Anyway, what you were saying before, continue on, Life Matrix. I forgot what you were saying, but I'm sure you got cut out there.
Yeah, I'm actually mobile now. I guess you can do this on your freaking cell phone too. So anyway,
Yeah, you can.
it's pretty amazing. But no, so what I was saying is that I just, the bottom line is that to me, I feel like I merged with a reality where CERN wasn't part of my original timeline, and that's pretty much it. And as we go on, just like Affected video shows, we're seeing more and more colliders show up in reality. Whereas before, when I first started researching this, there was like a dozen, not even half a dozen,
Right. Right.
And so it seems as time goes on, it is possible that these timelines are converging, and now we've got super colliders all over the world.
Well, I think that they're working because I find more information about more projects that they're doing every day, and it doesn't matter where I start or if I try to ignore it, I find myself finding it. I don't know, kind of I'm entangled with it now. But I was gonna say, because Life Matrix, correct me if I'm wrong, I remember a video you made that you said that CERN wasn't in your reality, and then you looked up and you were like, it was made in the 1950s, and I was like, what? No, it wasn't. Like at the time I was like, no. But now this is interesting about CERN. Their name is in French, CERN, is something like the commission for the something nuclear is the last word, but they were never a nuclear facility. So why were they named that? And then when they changed their name, they were still something nuclear for a while, but never in their history have I found anything about them being actually nuclear. They always were particle physics. They always had all these, and they have more pop up every day that I found websites and stuff that are from 2000, and they are active, and you can click on and you have to download Real Player and it's like, listen to last week's interviews, and it's like, that's last week 2000. It's so bizarre. And I'm going to make a video about that, I promise, for real this time. But anyway, it's a creepy thing, because I feel like if those places are popping up everywhere and they're all on the search trying to bring antimatter and dark matter into the world, I mean, it's stuff that doesn't belong here. And there seems to be an agenda, clearly, because a lot of money are going to those places, a lot. And this infrastructure. Oh, you know what I found out today? I don't know if anyone heard, I'm going to post a video as soon as this chat's over about China having just announced on Wednesday that they made the first official quantum computer machine. And I was like, what about D-Wave? So I started looking into it, and I learned that they have this telescope. Now, things are often called telescopes or light source. That's one of the synchrotron's nicknames, is a light source, but it's a particle accelerator. It's a collider. And this telescope that they have is made to work with this quantum infrastructure that they're building, that they already have built in most major cities in Japan and China and in a lot of Great Britain. And so I imagine that they're probably reading the same thing about us, because I found this link because I was looking at what sites my video was coming to from my analytics on YouTube, because I'm trying to be, an awesome YouTuber like you guys, and I'm not there yet. But I happened upon this video where it said, China just announced they made the first ever quantum supercomputer, and they beat D-Wave's entanglement record and stuff. Like I said, I made a video about it just now, but there's this huge infrastructure that they are now making bigger and more powerful, but it's already pretty much in place from what I can tell. They're just extending it everywhere. Now, this quantum infrastructure that they're making, they don't yet have, number one, a quantum language to write the algorithms. They don't have any software, nothing like that. They haven't even started writing the language as of today. So why is there an infrastructure why are we paying all this attention to all this stuff that we're making, and then we don't even have the software to operate it. Nobody's talking software. That seems to me like there's an agenda that's coming from a non-human source. And yeah, I'll be making videos about that in the future. There is
Real quick,
Yeah.
Life Matrix, Scarab's trying to join us. I gave him the link. He's in the chat room trying to join us. So,
Okay.
Life Matrix, if you want to help him join us. But
oh, he says he's away from his computer.
Gareb said, "Oh, thanks, Harmony. I will jump on in a bit, bro. Still away from my computer."
Oh,
Sad
okay.
face.
All right. Well, okay. So he got the message. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Happy
So,
Cinco de Mayo.
I
Happy
have not
Cinco de
heard
Mayo.
from Joe. Joe, did you want to say something?
Hey, Joe.
Still running with that gun in his hand.
Orale, Jose. Donde vas?
So, Life
tú?
Matrix, what else you got to report? I just find it fascinating how the CERN development happened at different times depending on what Earth you came from.
Yes. And it's still happening. And it's still, and see, like you called it covering their tracks. I think that's a great way to put it, because they say the way they release information and the way that their dates are inconsistent. Oh, and did you know there was a band called the CERNettes?
Hmm.
Yeah. They've been doing original songs and just debauched cover songs that they turned into like, it's my particle, I'll cry if I want. Oh gosh,
Oh,
awful.
wow.
Like it's some of them are really.
Hey, you still got to make that, Life Matrix.
Oh.
They want to do the Mandela Monday song. And I know,
Totally.
I know you make Mandela Effect songs, so you got to make that for them.
I would
You gotta
love
make
that.
You got to make a recording, send over to Scarab.
Hey, that's Scarab's thing. That's Scarab's thing.
Oh,
So,
Scarab saying, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to make that song and go, how's it go? Just another Mandela Monday.
Oh,
Hello. Yeah, I need some backup singers. Exactly.
Yeah,
Hey, you guys.
get the guitar
Yeah.
going. You got to make that for Scarab. He's
I-
the intro.
I've got 1% on my phone, but I
Oh.
want to say you guys have a great night, and yeah, you'll be hearing from my band very soon called the Reality Shifters.
Awesome.
There you go. Woohoo!
Front row. I want to go to a show.
All right, you guys have a good night.
You
Happy
too,
Cinco de
man.
Mayo,
Happy
Hey,
Cinco.
thanks for joining us, Life Matrix. As always, you're always welcome, bro. Love having you on the show.
Absolutely.
I was hoping to bring up something. You guys were talking about that tunnel that was built over by CERN, and I was watching something a while ago about how they were thinking that CERN was opening up the pit for the Antichrist or the Beast or
Absolutely.
whatever.
Well, it's built over the ancient temple of Apollyon or Apollo, actually. But yeah, and there on CERN's own website, it has little pictures and history, and it's bizarre what it says. It says that, oh my goodness, when we were digging, luckily we weren't actually digging; we were just doing some test drills. We found this whole city, and it shows them kind of like, excavating this city, and that was no accident. Whatever, that trying to play it off. Oh my goodness, I had no idea there was an ancient temple of Apollo here. But yeah, definitely they've the I believe it was Revelation, and I'm old school. I'll say Revelations.
Mhm.
Revelations.
Yeah, Revelations. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, because I can't stand that. I'm like,
Hi, now it's Revelation.
Revelations. So-
We only have one revelation to tell you because we're not going to tell you all of them.
right.
Sorry, the revelations are now closed. You only have one revelation.
I know my operating
You know what
hours
happened? We drew the short stick, and we only have one revelation.
are. That's not okay with me.
How'd you pick the long stick? We give you all these revelations, and you would know everything, but no, you got the short stick. It's just revelation.
Just imagine the long stick and like be there.
Oh.
The reason. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You were gonna say.
I was going to say the reason why I bring that up is I was watching the ceremony and I almost feel like I shouldn't have, because who knows what I allowed into my house with the TV on, you know, but
I don't think it's like that. I mean,
well, they're doing that dance, and I was watching one where I want to say it was some Christian guys almost doing commentary over it.
yeah.
And they explain the story of what that dance was representing. Are you familiar with that
The
at all?
the Shiva dance, is that what you're talking about?
No.
You're talking about the ritual at Gothard, or?
Yeah, at the tunnel.
Yeah.
Where they had a bridge built. They made a deal with the devil.
Right, yeah.
And then, the devil said that I'll build you this awesome bridge, but I get the soul of the first thing that crosses that bridge. And they sent a goat over and kind of upset the devil. And I don't know. I just feel like there's.
First of all, that story can't. I feel like whatever they tell us, that's their exoteric explanation, and there's an esoteric meaning that's actual. And I think because it's a goat, number one, that's like, the head of the Baphomet, and just there's a lot of the satyr, and also Cernunnos is depicted as a satyr. Am I saying it right? I'm not sure. I've only ever read that word, but it's a half goat, half man beast. And
satire. It's a satire.
Oh, really? That's so funny. It's satire, guys. But I think that now what's interesting to me about that ritual, and I would suggest anytime you watch anything that you feel like you don't know what you might be letting in your house, take ownership, take power. Don't give it away by not knowing. Know that nothing is allowed in your house.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. And you can even sometimes I take my arms if I'm feeling, extra, the wind is making too much noise, whatnot. I'm feeling extra weird and the alarm goes off, something. I will take my arms and just get out. You are not allowed. I own it.
Amen to that.
I mean, sometimes you got to, and that's okay to do. I mean, everyone should take ownership. Don't give away your power. But anyway, so did you see that part of the?
Good. You have to be aware of your surroundings and be aware of what's going on in your home. And
last night I heard footsteps in my backyard, and
well, here real quick before I forget my train of thought, I've preached this in many of my videos. The battle is in your mind. It's not out there in reality. It's in your head.
Yeah.
It's inside this little skull. And inside your skull is a bunch of little neurotransmitters shooting electrical signals all over the damn place.
Yeah.
And
synapses.
Hopefully you can get those mechanisms firing to the front of your brain, which is called the executive function, where you can begin to think rationally. The problem is when these little mechanisms starts firing, they tend to go to the back part of your brain, known as the primal brain, and it goes into a state of fear, of fight or flight mode. And the thing is that when a thought comes into your head, don't entertain it. Stop and say, where did that thought come from? Is this my thought or is this somebody else's?
That's great, yeah.
Is this a thought I want to entertain? No, then throw it away immediately. Because the moment you begin to entertain a thought, then your brain decides, are all these neurotransmitters going to make it go to the primal brain? And are you going to be freaked out? Or is it going to go to the executive part of the brain where you can think about it rationally? And so the battle is in your mind between these different segments and these different mush that is in your skull, the nugget, the couple of peanuts that are up there.
I think it's
they jiggle around a lot and they get a little scatterbrain.
They dance.
Get control of your peanuts and stop them from shaking.
For crying out loud.
Because you got two peanuts up there and they're shaking, and stop the shaking for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
It's like going to church and telling yourself not to have bad thoughts, and then all of a sudden all you're having is you're battling with your mind.
Well, there's a movie called The Secret. I'm not endorsing it, however, I highly recommend it.
You do recommend it or you don't?
He does.
I highly recommend it, but
I have the book. I just never read it.
The reason I do not endorse it is because it does not just tell you the whole truth. It's partial truths. It talks about the law of attraction. It's true, but they don't tell you the whole truth.
Right.
And they go through all these different laws that are very true and are deadly accurate in the universe. However, they don't just divulge the entire truth. They just tell you enough to hit a brick wall and go, "Damn, I hit that brick wall again."
I don't like those kinds of partial truths.
tell us about like the full truth from those from the secret like video. Like what are they leaving out?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, what are they leaving out of that movie that you would say are the important?
Well, in my business, we have it's called an errors and omission license. I carry about $4 million of an error and omission license in case in my daily routine if I omit something or make an error. So what they're doing is they're omitting a lot. It's what they omit. It's what they don't tell you.
Yes, yes. And sometimes I feel like they tell us stuff much like they would offer someone they were about, like way back in the day when they would sacrifice people. I'm just using it loosely. They would sacrifice people so they'd have someone in a cage or an animal or a person, and they would starve them to the brink of death, and then open the cage and offer them food or water. And if the person or the animal takes the food or water, they are thereby agreeing by silent contract to go ahead and be sacrificed. Because see, the thing is, there are kind of rules. They can't just say they're going to sacrifice somebody and then take them against their will and sacrifice them, but they can put it in front of their face, and if they don't ask questions and just take it, they're agreeing. So I feel like that silent contract is, and it's a dirty contract. That's not right, but it's how they justified a sacrifice to the gods instead of a murder. It's the same thing in my head. It's the same thing when people just let cognitive dissonance say, "Oh, yeah, well, Pizzagate's not real. That's fake news." Well, children for hundreds of years have been ritually, sexually abused, and it's awful to think about that. I mean,
Effective. This audience believes in Pizzagate, so you don't have to preach that.
no, I'm not gonna go into it. It's a horrible.
That's
thing.
just
I think everyone listening knows.
Tip of a giant spear.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
Pizzagate's
some people that I know and love, they're very dear to me. I was pretty down about Pizzagate one day when I was at their
Oh
house.
yeah. How about this? So shape your reality and change it. Immediately come to a complete state of peace right now. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Just go. And exhale slowly through your mouth. And just relax. And at this time, just come to a complete state of peace and relax. And an emptiness of now you have no thoughts. And now you have a blank canvas in front of you. And now you can picture reality any way you want it to be. How would you paint that picture? If you are a writer, then write out a story. How would you write out that story? How would you change the Pizzagate story to a story of victory where everything is overcome? One thing I can think of is, I have my Christian background, so that's what I go to. Maybe you have some other place you can go. But I think of prayer, and you pray for all the folks that are being afflicted and give them power and get them connected back to Source God Creator and help them emanate and be little pillars of light and energize all these people that have been afflicted all over this planet. There's thousands, if not millions, of people that have been afflicted by this horrendous Pizzagate thing and other tragedies. So you can just lump it up into one big tragedy prayer and throw out your prayers to all the souls. The souls. It's not the biological unit, it's souls. So the prayers go crying out to all these souls that are hurt. Fill them with life at this time and breathe the breath of God, the true Source God Creator energy into all these souls who are hurting and who are in pain and anguish, and fill them up with that love. Let them feel that bright light of love, that brilliant warmth and the glow. Let there be nothing but glow and energy. They might be living in a cardboard box in the most horrific conditions that you can imagine, but they can experience being connected to true source, God, creator, to who they truly are, and let that soul be connected back to the universe and let it energize every single soul all throughout the planet that's in pain at this time is now just simply being energized and being brought back to life. And it's just going, take a deep breath in, go. Exhale very slowly. And just be at peace and relaxed. Nothing but peace and relax and calm. Take another deep breath and exhale slowly, letting all that energy go. Let all the energy flow all throughout the planet, all from the top of your head, through your body, through your feet, down into the planet. Let the energy just flow from true source God creator out there, all throughout the top of your head, throughout your body, to the bottom of your feet, out into the universe, and into this whole place, and let everything just emanate with energy. You feel nothing but energy flowing all throughout you, all throughout this plate. Nothing but energy. Nothing but energy flowing everywhere. Nothing but peace. Nothing but pure source God creator peace. Bathing this place. Just bathing it with energy. And just breathe and relax. Just relax. Be at peace. And take a deep breath in. And exhale slowly. And let there be nothing but peace. People often ask, what can we do? And I just gave you an exercise of what you can do. You do possess the power to control reality. Every waking moment, every step you take, you create reality and simply create it the way you want it to be, where there's nothing but peace and love and joy. And be this pillar of light unto the world, and just shine everywhere you go and create the reality the way you want it to be. And taking out a deep breath in. And exhale slowly. And just relax. Just relax. Nothing but peace and harmony. So, I'm done.
That was beautiful.
Woo! That was awesome, bro. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I wanted to respond. I peeked an eye toward the end and looked to see if the chat was moving, and it mostly was still, except people were like, thanks.
I have to say, this totally is a compliment, but Harmony, you have like a Bob Ross
Dude,
calmness to you. I was visualizing happy trees and mountains.
I
There's
totally
a
just
bush.
made a Bob Ross like intro yesterday. And
I don't know who he is, but I'll appreciate the comment.
he's the
Painter
painter.
guy
He's
from
like,
with the afro.
he's like, let's put some happy little trees. Let's give him a friend. He's like, oh heck, let's get crazy. He's like, this is a cold painting. I'm gonna have to go get my coat on in a second.
I was watching him the other night, and he painted a little bush called Claude.
You're gonna have to send me the link to that.
Oh, I will. He's great. You'll
Hey,
fall
can you-
asleep.
Yeah, I totally just made an intro, dude, with a bunch
Yeah,
of Bob Ross, and
awesome.
that's
Be sure to
hilarious.
text that to me.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely using that intro now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Bob Ross literally came into my recommends 2 nights ago, and it's funny that you just made a thing about it. Huh?
It wasn't yesterday. Come to think, it was the day before yesterday, and I think
Yep.
you know what? I'd have to. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, it was Wednesday. Is that right? Yeah. Well, you know what? Quantum entanglement. See,
There we go.
we were going to be here in the chat, and remember, the first thing I said was Channel Zero. I know you from somewhere. Like, it's so familiar to me.
That's crazy.
And what that is that I mean, like when I made the CERN video, or not the CERN, the Fermilab video, I felt like I knew those people. Honestly, I felt like I had a child that I took to the daycare there. It's bizarre, dude. Maybe it was a different life. Maybe it was just because I was going to edit the video. I don't have any idea. But this kind of stuff, when it's a connection between two people, it's just a reminder that it's not two people at all, man. We're all
one.
connected. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny to think when we're human, it's hard to separate that there isn't any where. There's only you're with me, like you're with me. So you could say here, but it would be technically incorrect. I just had 2 dogs that I had for 15 years and they just both passed away recently. And yeah, no, I'm having a hard time. That's actually why I started making videos. I knew I was going to, but they were, I was taking care of them and enjoying.
Real quick, I'll be back in 2 minutes, guys. Bye.
All right. Okay. And anyway, I've noticed that they are with me, and actually they're moving on. I realized that they do have other things they need to go do. They need to help others, and they're going to do a great job. But they especially the girl, because the girl dog was more used to it. I think I can't explain it, but she's been around more. She knew what to do, kind of. The boy dog wasn't. He's not. Anyway, point is, like, I will be doing something and I'll find one huge like dog hair right on the book, like in the page I'm looking at, and just sitting right in the middle, and I'll realize it took a few times to realize, oh, you're with me. It's you here. And I would hear them sometimes, like just, and I would feel like a brush up against my leg or something. It was different for each one of them because she was real quiet. She only got quiet after the Mandela effect happened. She used to be different than that. Anyway,
that's crazy. I'll get to something after you're finished about that.
Yeah. So the point is, whenever I would hear them, whenever I'd hear him, because he was really vocal before he died, it's like first of all, I would hear his voice kind of ride in on top of another sound, so that it almost made you think, oh, well, wait, that's just a bird calling, but it's him. And I would verify with my man, we would stop and go, do you hear him? And the thing is, the second that I would call out to him, KB Mauser, he'd be gone instantly. I could feel. And I finally, after some trial and error, realized that if I didn't try to have them come closer to me, or if I didn't think about where they were, if I left the where out of it completely, they were with me. And it's so powerful. And then I realized it's really hard to separate the where, because it's like, I mean, it's one of the first things you learn in your perspective as a tiny baby is, you're here, and it's the proximity thing. It's so hard to get around. So like, where is your soul when it's superimposed and one of you is dead in one reality and alive in another? There isn't a where. It's just not like that, and it's so hard to wrap your head around. But anyway, I want to hear your story. What were you going to say?
Well, not necessarily a story, just to add to what you were saying about how your female dog got did you say more talkative, or after the Mandela effect?
He got more talkative. She got less talkative, which was so weird.
I was going to say, I have a cat that she doesn't say anything, but literally it seemed like the day I realized I was awakened to the Mandela effect.
Right.
My cat talks all the time now. She acts way different, more energetic. She was kind of a lazy cat. She's skinnier now. Everything's different about her.
Yeah, mine almost changed personalities overnight. And okay, my boy dog, we had to teach him to bark when he was little. We'd have to get him real excited. Finally, after a while, he'd go like, Oomba. And so we called him Oomba for a good portion of his life. But that's how quiet he was. He was silent. And he was the most vocal dog after the effect. I mean, like, always talking. So I think it's just, that's, that's a more permanent kind of superposition, like a whole personality switch. But I think that has to do with our experience is so unique to us from the second that you're born, depending on if you're born early from C-section and your mother is distressed, whatever have you, that is a significant part of your initial personality. You know, I mean, there are so many little things like that that we don't even remember about ourselves that influence our very, you know, how we think, how we imagine,
Yeah.
and the decisions we make and what we remember. And the fact that all those superimposed experiences are kind of floating around us all the time now, and we can kind of step in and out of them is it's kind of unsettling. But I think visualizing it and understanding that cases that it might be a case of it is a healthy thing to do.
Hey, real quick here, Channel Zero and I were talking before the show, and he had some questions about flat Earth. So you guys want to?
Word,
I usually don't do flat Earth stuff, but
really.
yeah,
But it's
I'm willing
Cinco de
to do it.
Mayo, so
I mean,
Yes.
I didn't really have. I don't know. It's one of those things where I kind of explained it on the last time I was on the show, but my brother came to me one day and said, "Hey, man, there's a possibility the Earth's flat." You know, he'd been watching some videos, and I was like, "Shut up!" You know, like it's like I this is before I knew about the Mandela effect or anything, but I was on MK Ultra, I think, at the time or something. You know,
Dude,
I was in a dark rabbit hole.
That's a dark one, yeah.
And I didn't have time for it, but decided, let me at least give it a look. I don't want to be a naysayer without knowing what I'm talking about.
I was a naysayer for that one for a while. And
Yeah.
finally gave in. Yeah.
Well, and that was the thing. I started watching these videos, and I'm like, man, it's hard to argue some of these
for real.
these arguments. You know.
Can you guys see my screen share right now?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So
I see.
this is called the visual line of sight calculation. Depends on the Earth curvature.
We is the curvature.
And basically, it says here approximately, you see this right here, approximately 8 inches per mile squared. So you take 8 inches and per mile and then square it, and you get this curvature mile. So basically, at around, maybe I have a calculator. Let me pull my. So now I want to pull out my calculator. Where's my stupid calculator?
I don't know that I own a calculator anymore.
All right, so
I got one on my
8
phone.
inches.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I have a phone for.
So anyway, so I was so the story goes, I was an air traffic controller, and I was bored. I was bored one night, and my supervisor said, "Well, why don't you dial out the scope to 350 miles and watch the traffic?" And I said, "Excuse me, it can go to 350 miles?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "I didn't know that." I was at a TRACON facility. There's only at that time in 1990, whatever 3 it was. There's only 2 Navy TRACON facilities in the entire world. I happened to be at one of them, and I didn't know the scope can go up to 350 miles. Blew my mind away. So, but let's be conservative. So let's just say at 300 miles, because I'll be honest, at 350 miles, the targets are pretty damn blurry, and I couldn't pick up the transponders.
Whoa. Okay. So
at 350 miles, they got the scope wasn't good enough. I couldn't pick up but at 300 miles, crystal clear. So you take 300 times 300, and that equals 90,000, and then you times it by the 8 inches. So
it's 56. No, 560,000. No.
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Well, it's 8 inches per mile squared. So 300 miles squared is 300 times 300.
So yeah,
That gives
that's
you
90,000.
90,000. And what's the equation say? Plus or square?
I thought it was time. Let's see. Yeah, so 8 inches per
8
mile.
inches
8
per
inches
mile
So
square.
8 inches per mile squared. So you did the squared already. So you just have to, right? see. There's other. Wait. Then it says, for example, 1.3 times the square root of 8 divided by 12. What's. This seems very golden ratio-y to me. But I don't know.
So anyway, the bottom line is at 300 miles, the altitude is between 82 and 86,000 feet is where these aircraft had to be. So I'm at an air traffic. I'm at a TRACOM facility in the Navy. I have a airport surveillance radar. It's a microwave. It does not bounce off clouds. It does not bounce off the atmosphere. It does not curve around the Earth. It's a microwave.
Right.
Microwave is direct line of sight.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for me to see an aircraft at 300 miles clearly, and it was at 5,000 feet, I know its altimeter, I know its airspeed, I can look up in the directory, I can know the souls on board, I know everything about this aircraft, all of them, from 300 miles away. That's impossible. Impossible, according to the curvature of the Earth.
According to the official science,
So my point is that the Earth is much bigger than you think it is. So let's go 1,000 year old map, and we get this.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I made a video on this, and I talked about how there's certain chunks of real estate that are identical to other chunks of real estate, and I showed them at 30 and 33 degree angle corrections, and how this is like a big puzzle, and they can be moving real estate in and out. And I talk about a 90-degree spin factor in physics and the whole 9 yards. This is our chunk of real estate, folks. I'm sorry.
Wow.
The Earth is a lot bigger than you think it is. I'm not saying it's flat. I'm not going to sit here and say it's flat.
I think we are under a dome.
But I do know for a fact, I have, here's America. You see this? You can see the screen share, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then you're just South America. And I have personally seen the air traffic control pattern leaving here and going to this continent.
Whoa, brother.
Crazy.
Well, okay.
I have personally seen the air traffic control pattern go from here to here. Now, let me back this up with Admiral Byrd. Admiral Byrd
Oh, yeah.
went back. He found another continent as big as America. Well, that's as big as America.
Just beyond Antarctica.
Yeah, and it had all those resources.
And then we have the book Beyond the Poles, where he not only went on a freaking boat out here into another continent, and he like discovered like a couple of continents beyond the pole. That dude fucking went sailing like way the fuck out there, and he came all the way the fucking back. Excuse my language, and reported it to us.
Cinco de Mayo is getting to you, brother.
Well, because I'm getting a little paranoid because I'm divulging secret information.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I've seen the air traffic control pattern. I saw it.
Well, don't tell anybody.
Well, it's only live.
This will just stay with us.
It's live.
It's only live on YouTube. Anyway,
that is incredible personal experience, dude.
So basically,
do you think there's a bunch of Americas? Because it looks like some of them could be.
Oh, let me interrupt for a moment.
Africa.
There is something that's known as the four corners in the Bible. It's very true.
Right.
There is a perimeter and there is a force field around this entire place, and there's what's known as the four corners who control the force field. But we have control of them, and we all work in cooperation. The thing is that the folks that live out here don't like us.
Why not?
Who currently lives out there?
Okay, what if your only source of information of the human world was TV and the internet? You would be disgusted at the human race.
Man, yeah, I wouldn't even like.
Think about it.
Well, I'm kind of disgusted being American. I mean,
the Kardashian culture.
Most of the world will agree with that.
Oh gosh, yeah, exactly.
A lot of the world thinks Americans are disgusting. So,
especially the cultists who act like they're good politicians.
Yeah, but anyway, we're getting off tangent. That's a whole other story.
Yeah,
so now you're gonna make me forget what I was saying. Basically, they don't want us to get the hell. They don't want us going out there and screwing up their world. So we are contained in the petri dish.
Would you say they're human, or
I wouldn't say that they can't be. They can't be human.
I don't want to talk about them.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
man.
let's not, because I can tell it's heavy on you. Yeah, erase, and breathe in and out slowly.
Yeah, so there's a guy that I'm into martial arts, and there's a guy that's like a legend, that's a living legend named Eddie Bravo, and he's really put himself out there well, he's always been a truther, whether it was 9/11 or chemtrails, but now he was on Alex Jones, and they actually deleted those episodes off of Alex Jones's channel because he was talking flat Earth, dinosaurs, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I wanted to point people in his direction because some of the questions.
Yeah, what's his name again?
Eddie Bravo.
Okay.
EDIE BROVO. He's a jujitsu master that.
Cool.
I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but the Gracies.
The Gracies, yeah.
He beat one of the Gracies.
Which one?
I believe it was Hoyler Gracie.
Okay.
And Eddie was only a brown belt. Long story short, he's a legend.
Dang!
And he reinvented jujitsu. But what I'm saying is he's really put himself out there, and you can find him all over the internet now. But the questions he asks are like really good questions. You know, if we're flying through space, circling around the sun, and everything's circling and moving and stuff like that, you know, if we're circling around the sun, how come every night we don't have a different sky? You know, little things like that that just get me going, whoa, I never even thought of that. You know,
Right.
If we're on the other side of the sun, we should be looking at the other side of space. I guess maybe there's a simpler answer for that, but
Oh yeah, you know what? Mind 39 says 1,000 miles, 666 feet. Have you guys heard that?
no.
Yeah, well, I forget what exactly it is, but there's an equation that has to do with Earth that is a 666 answer, and it's like something I forget.
Huh. Yeah, well, it just happens to be 666. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, in the Statue of Liberty is supposedly if you add the base of its height, it equals to 666 exactly. And there are a lot of them. There's everywhere. But you know, good things, happy thoughts. Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess I'm not quite out of the closet with the flat Earth yet.
Me either.
But almost just out of fear and well, definitely out of fear, but like you know, just because I love space, you know, like growing up, that was everything,
Totally,
you know,
bro.
and so to change my thinking, but with the Mandela effect,
Well, okay, let's say the Earth is flat.
Everything.
What do you think's beyond that? Come on.
if this is flat, what's beyond that?
I think. Well, see,
Well,
I think that there's both. I think that we've seen evidence lately of dinosaurs being found, like actually blood tissue, you know, feathers, biological samples that are testable. There's no way that is millions of years old. That's not even hundreds of years old. That is a different timeline than I'm familiar with, but I think that everything should be re-examined and cases should be reopened. What I personally believe is that somehow God has created a new firmament, and we're right now having the experience of being both on the flat Earth in a dome under the firmament that's being created to one day separate from the old Earth, but that we're experiencing old and new Earth at the same time. So it's round and flat, basically. But you know, I'm the kindergarten teacher. I'm like, hey, everybody, we can get along. Let's shake hands,
Sure.
and you know. But anyway, I mean, I don't think that we can know an answer to that. So I like to avoid the topic a lot because it's so dividing amongst
Mhm.
people. I mean, people come in hot. They're just like, you don't know what you're talking about. Everything you say is a lie. And it's like, you know, that I understand their passion because we've all been lied to. We've been lied to about our very creation story. You know, we should at least know some things about the ancient, the ancient, I don't know, places on our planet that match the stars and, you know, are built with the golden ratio. And that, I mean, there are secrets that are it's just obvious that we're we're being lied to.
Yep. And I
So
don't know if
the
you get
Earth,
used to it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't like it.
so the Earth is like round and flat at the same time. Like, is it like? So how does that exactly work? It being
You
round
know,
and
that's a
flat.
good question. Okay, so
Well,
every time I
but
go onto Scarab Performance's channel, I have like these huge epiphanies in the comment section. I don't know what it is, but in one of his videos, I was in the comment section and I started getting comments from this girl, and then she, like, I would get them 20 minutes before she sent them. So I'd see a notification, and then I would see the comment like on physically on the screen. So I would be answering her, and anyway, I brought it up, and it was that same conversation that Scared Performance said something that was something like circles or spheres moving together like balls condensing or separating. I don't even remember what it was, but I was like, bro, you just kind of cleared everything up for me, because I've been imagining both old and new Earth being together still for a time, and what you said just totally cleared it up. And he was like, whoa, I never thought of it like that. And so I don't know what he said, and I don't
Like
remember which video it was.
Two bubbles combining.
It's like
kind of? Is
sometimes
that
it's so clear to me, and then sometimes it's not. Yeah, it's like two bubbles combining. It's something that it's impossible really for us to imagine in our limited dimensional where. There comes the where again. You know, it's the it kills the actuality of it. We're unable to imagine it because we're stuck to where, you know. I don't know. It's hard
I
to
think
explain.
that's what separates us from people that don't see things happening, is that we're always questioning everything. And sometimes I don't even think we even settle on the answers because there's always more questions.
Right. Yeah. And we won't know every answer. It's not for us to know, and that's okay. But, you know, there's no need for any of us to really be upset when.
well, real quick, since you say we can't know all the answers, name the top 3 things you would like to know.
Meaning of life. Go ahead. Sorry.
The top 3 things. I guess I've never thought about that. I guess I would like confirmation that there is indeed an infiltration of extra dimensional beings at all levels of our powerful people.
You
And
should already know that's true.
Yeah, I already know that's true. So, but I'm just saying,
Well,
like, I would like confirmation.
Proof.
I would like to be like, yeah, I knew it. I'd like to take the mask off, you know, or whatever.
Put it this way, you have your confirmation with me telling you that we are here. We are all here.
I already know. You're right, and I know God. I mean, I know He loves us all, and it probably causes Him great pain that He has to, you know, go through this time of letting us choose which way we want to go. And so I guess I would want to know what you like to listen to when you listen to music.
Weird question.
You're asking me what I like to listen to when I listen to music.
Well, it's the first question that popped in my mind that I thought, yeah, I would like to know that.
I'm not a music connoisseur.
I love music. Bach.
I only listen to the radio going to and from work, and that's it. I don't listen to music other than that, unless I did do my life lesson. I did, you know, Claire de Lune and Bush, you know, this other thing, and I do like classical, but I made a couple videos on classical music.
Yay! I hear you again. Classical
What do you mean
music.
you hear me again?
I couldn't hear you for a second. I couldn't hear anybody.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I've been talking.
Dang it! All I heard was the classical music.
That's pretty much it.
I don't
There
know.
you go.
What would I like to? I don't see. I don't really. I don't know. I research so often and so deeply that I feel like I don't want to. I feel like I know everything I need to know, I guess.
I got a question, Harmony. So I know there's the theory that maybe we died and then we shift. And I've been thinking, like, you know, so how many times do we die? And I'm starting to think if that's a a thing, do we age out? We just keep shifting until we finally die of old age, and then we make it to the final level, whether it's heaven or hell or whatever. Maybe I don't know.
You helped me think of a question.
Perfect.
So, okay, so, well, so let me throw this out there. So I've often visualized a sort of, when we all leave this big party, we will go either above or below, and either into a macroverse, into the heavens, or a microverse, which I think may be that Illuminati card game that gets all creepy and seems to predict
everything.
And I feel like that there are like players of that card game sort of through means of what have you, they're playing sometime in the future, and it's sort of mixing in with our past. But I think that people aren't going to notice when they're like, I think that people are going to stay on Earth, and it's going to turn into hell.
So how do we get to? How do we move if Earth's going to turn into hell? How do we get to?
This Earth doesn't turn to hell, by the way.
Well, I don't think it exactly turns into hell. But
can you hear me? Affected?
I feel I feel like there's going to be a point at which that God takes some people, and it kind of. But the people who are left here, I don't think it will be an event for them. I think they won't notice anything. I think there's going to be a moment where there's a transition, but it looks the same to the ones who chose.
Kind of like the Mandela effect, basically, where you if you didn't notice, if you didn't know it was happening, it just seems like everything's normal. Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Like if the facsimile is enough for you to feel like, yeah, that's legit, then it pretty much becomes simulated world kind of deal. I don't know. I don't really share those thoughts because they're pretty dark. And I like to be like, hey, it's the end of the world, guys, but everything's awesome. Sure. There's no nice way to say that and stuff, so I just don't bring it up.
Sometimes you got to go to a dark place, though, just to make sense of things.
I feel like there is no death. I feel like that death is the biggest lie. It's the greatest lie ever told. I think we're all eternal.
Of course you are.
Yeah. I mean, that's been an obvious one, but
have any of you guys experienced near-death experiences?
Lots of people have.
Yeah,
I have a lot of reports.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah, not really.
Huh. I've noticed a lot of people talking about it, and I've had a couple. So I was just wondering if that was something.
What happened?
Well, when I was a little kid, I mean, not even in kindergarten, so I was probably 4. I remember distinctly my dad bought me sandals, and I didn't like them because I kept saying they were girl shoes. They're girl shoes. And he convinced me to wear them because Jesus wore sandals. And I was like, all right.
That's awesome.
I go, if Jesus wore them, I'm wearing them, So we used to have a cabin on a lake, and we had a long dock. And on the long dock, attached to it was what we called the floating dock, where it was just a floating dock tied to it with a rope. And there's a ladder going down to it, but it's free floating. And a buddy of mine, we're little kids, we go down to the floating dock. Well, when we decide to get off the floating dock, he goes up the ladder, and I start going up the ladder, but my sandal starts to come off. So I go to reach for my sandal to fix it, and I fall straight into the water. And I'm 4, and I can't swim. And I remember hallucinating, everything turned into cartoon land pretty much to me. And then
it sounds like DMT.
Yeah, maybe. I remember I could see the sheet of glass above me trying to reach for my friend, but he can't reach me. And anyway, long story short, my dad comes running down, dives in the water, throws me up on the dock. And he said he got in and out so fast, the contents of his wallet didn't get wet. And so he said I was pretty much dead. I was seconds away or something.
Dude, yeah.
So that's one story, but the second story is the one that's.
And I say I got that shout out. Thank you.
What's that?
Blue hair. Somebody shout out to the blue hair girl, and that was to me. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, my brother. Whatever. All right. Sorry.
And that's all right. The second one is probably the strangest to me because I was a little older. I was in 6th grade, and what I did was what I thought was a good deed was a overweight kid was getting picked on by a kid that reminds me of the Adam Sandler O'Doyle rules, you know, the
Oh,
bullies.
yeah. Doyle rules.
doing-
Doyle, I got a feeling your whole family's going down.
Yeah. So I ended up punching the kid in the mouth on the bus, and we get in trouble, you know, and so she pulls the bus over. Anyways, as I'm getting off the bus, she didn't put the stop sign out, and I walked in front of the bus, and a truck came, I don't know, 40 miles an hour, and I jumped over the truck, like over the front hood of the truck, to where just a tiny, tiny little brush against me, and the truck's like almost wrecked. It fishtailed all over the place and went off almost into a ditch. The guy gets out of his truck and looks at me like he had just seen like a ghost. And I kind of turned, looked at him, but then turned straight ahead and just kept walking like nothing happened because it freaked me out. The next day I got kind of not scolded, but you know, you wait for me to put the sign out. It was her fault she didn't put the sign out. But I think there's either I'm Spider-Man or I got or I got hit by that truck. You know,
I think you're supposed to be here. I mean, I think that's it. That God gave you a little pull, or you know, something.
I've felt pretty special ever since that moment, though.
You are special, like everybody else. No, just kidding. You are special.
That's also why I tell people to take their earbuds out and get off their phones when they're walking, because you never know. Yeah. You never know when you're going to need your spidey senses. You know, and
it's good to know what the world around us sounds like normally, you know,
exactly.
And I mean, so that we can tell when there's a difference.
Yeah, you wouldn't notice a change if you're not paying attention. If it's not on Facebook, then I guess you're not going to.
Oh, man.
Another question I had that's I've been wondering for years, and I'll just ask the question and then I'll explain. Does anybody remember the first time they became aware? And what I mean is I was in diapers when I remember, and it was almost, and I kept telling my mom throughout my life, like, I feel like I was replaced, like I was put here, like I was switched, because I knew what was going on, but I felt brand new. Like it's hard to explain, but it sounds like you know what I'm talking about, Harmony.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess I do know that moment. I recorded it on a tape and cried myself to sleep thinking, yeah, I guess I do. I never thought of it like that. But yeah, I felt like I knew something different from that day forward.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's just one thing that's always made me, you know, I always wondered, and I'm just curious if that's like similar to like a Mandela effect, like were we placed here for a reason, you know, because I really do feel like, man, something happened. Like my consciousness kicked in at that moment. And
yeah, consciousness kicking. That's a big part of it. Yeah, that's it. That's what happens. Okay, so check this out, man. I came upon some information, and I'm just gonna say it like this. I had a different mom originally. And when and my parents were very much in love. And the way they met is uncharacteristic for both of them. And anyway, when I left the house, my dad fell in love almost immediately with someone they worked with. And we never understood what he liked about her or what he saw, but he would be like, oh, wait, I can't wait for you to meet her. You know, you guys remind me of each other. And I mean, you know, I want you to consider her a mom. And I'm like, whoa, stop. You know, that it was too much. But anyway, years later, and this woman, she hated me. Like she played nice for about 5 minutes. But she wouldn't let my dad get messages from me. It was this whole ordeal, and me and my dad were very close my whole life. Like he was my best friend. So, you know, it was messed up. But basically, one day I was teaching a children's acting class, and one of the parents came up to me when she picked up her daughter and she said my name. She said, "Hey, are you blah 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 blah." She said my first and last name, which I'm not at liberty to share with everybody here
No,
because
understandable.
But I mean, I'd tell you guys if we're, But anyway, you can imagine it's like the loveliest name. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so she said, "Is this your first and last name?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "And you go to some university that I went to in that town that we all lived in?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I know your mom." And I was like, "Oh, really? Yeah. Do you work at the hospital?" And she said, "The hospital? No, I work at da 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 da." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's." And she said, "Well," and she said, "Is your dad's name blah blah blah?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "I'm very confused now because," and I said, "Oh, wait. So you're thinking of my I don't even call her stepmom, like my dad's wife." Yeah,
Right.
she hates me. And she looked really confused and she was like, "So wait, okay. There's a different family that lives in this town that has their same first and last names as you and them, and then the daughter is your age and goes to the university you go to, even had my same major." And I was like, and then I was like, "Well, where do you know my dad from again?" And she goes, "I've never met your dad. I only know your mom. She brags on you all the time. She's always talking about," and I'm that's why and you look like her. I've always thought I did look like her. And actually I've used those little facial recognizing tech, apps and stuff and put our pictures together. And yeah, I get way higher percentages with her face than my own mother's. And my mom who raised me is the most, man, she's awesome. And if I had been raised by the woman who I think originally was my mom, I would have been a very different person. She's, well, I think she murdered my dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Why do you think
And,
that?
Well, that's a long story. I've known her before. I've known her before, and she has killed others before in another time.
Well, happier thoughts. Happier.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I learned I wrote a song that's still famous today in that
Well,
time
there
period.
you go. We'll
Yeah,
have to
it's
hear
pretty
the song
cool.
sometime.
Yeah, sometime. Maybe. I don't know, man. No, I'm just kidding, of course. All right, so yeah, happy thoughts. Sorry, that is kind of a downer, but it's an amazing experience that
That is interesting.
Did you guys have any
How
last thoughts? Because I'm thinking of
It's calling you,
I'm-
isn't it? The
I'm thinking
Tecate.
of winding up the live stream here.
Tequila.
Yeah, and I think it's
Okay.
does anybody have last questions? We're gonna round it up.
I was wanted to say to Affected Collective.
Yeah.
I've been watching some of your videos and I think they're amazing. Your music's
Thank
awesome.
you.
And well, just your story, just what you just said about your dad's wife, sounds very similar to my dad's ex-wife as well. Long story short, it almost sounds like we're probably related, but because I'm used to be an actor and all sorts of stuff. But anyways,
Interesting.
and I play guitar and whatnot, very very mediocrely. But
So
and
we got to jam out.
yeah, it'd be awesome. And what I was curious is how long does it take you to do all your research and edit? Because it takes me forever, and I do a very, very VHS quality job.
I would say that mine was VHS at best. Honestly, if I don't just kind of let go and start, then it takes longer because sometimes I'll have a vision, but I guess I go with the moment more than anything else, and I let improvisation happen. And when I do that, I feel like God kind of points me into the direction He wants me to find the information. Because I mean, like I started out doing a video about the movie, like short music video players of the 60s, and I found a different one from the 40s. They had these like big video jukeboxes from the 1940s, and I was like, no way that existed, man. That's crazy. But
That's crazy.
I mean, and so and when I was doing that video though, I found an anomaly, like a ghost or a shapeshifter or something in one of the films, and then my computer started acting crazy. So that's the haunting thing I was referring to earlier, but the little ghost experience I had recently. But I guess I sort of
Hey, real quick.
I let it go and let God.
We actually have 50 people watching, so maybe do you guys want to keep the show going? There are 50 people watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to keep
Jams
going?
rock.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to take another 2-minute break and we'll continue the show. How about that? You can
Sounds
want to
good.
do that? Okay, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Man, we got a big crowd.
We
This is
do?
actually, I think it's been a great show.
How do you see how many people? I don't see.
I'm on
Oh,
the
I see
live.
49. 49 is like Funk 49, like it's a cover song we did. Joe Walsh.
So what kind of music are you into? You brought that, you asked Harmony that. I was
I like a kind of little bit of everything, and I very much go with the moment on what I like to listen to, but I think my mind was poisoned when I was young by all the pop stuff, and nowadays I actually know so many like I know Beatles songs forwards and backwards because I studied. Yeah, well, I studied the Beatles forwards and backwards because it's so fascinating to me how they would backmask the messages that they wanted, and so like Sergeant Pepper's Lonely, Sergeant Pepper's Lonely it was a fake mustache, it was a fake mustache, and that's like awesome. That's amazing.
They were definitely innovators for sure.
Yeah, well, I think they had to be because they had to tell people about that dark, horrible secret that happened to them that everyone knows and no one wants to admit to knowing. Anyway,
I love the Beatles. I got
how can you not? How can you not? I mean, yeah.
It blows my mind when people say they hate them. I'm like, hate them? Really? There's not one song that,
Like, I don't hate, period. Like, I don't hate my hairbrush. How can you hate the freaking Beatles? They're like so legendary.
Yeah, I always said, that's what heaven is it's Beatles.
Wait, have you heard the Mandela Effect Beatle album?
Yes, I have, and actually, well, it's actually
it sounded like crap.
It's a remix.
I've gone through and me and my best friend, he's actually, as he would put it, turned me on to a many selections of obscure Beatles songs.
And there's the Doors album. There's a couple extra Doors album as well.
Really? Well, dude, there are so many music videos of like it's bizarre. I'm gonna post that video tonight. But yeah, music videos from the 60s that were filmed as music videos, like conceptualized.
I don't know if you guys. There's this one video these folks made. They play the song. They say you play this way, you hear it the way it is in this reality, and then play this. We're gonna play the song again.
What horrible secret?
And picture your whole reality and listen to the song again. The Mamas and the Papas, California Dream.
California Dreaming. It was always began to pray to me.
Yeah, and they play it both ways, and you can actually hear it the way you remember it, but their lips are all wrong. But I watched the video and I did it with the guy, and I really did hear it the way my old reality sung it, but the lips were all wrong. It's really bizarre, like witchcraft kind of. I don't know, dimensional shift, weird do Twilight Zone kind of stuff, But I experienced it. It happened. It's
weird. Bizarre. I'm gonna have to check that out.
The horrible secret. It's very sad, and when you realize it's true, it's been forensically proven. It's almost. Yeah,
You're talking about Paul, or what are we? Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think they killed one of them, and I think they did it to teach a lesson to the other ones.
Keep them quiet.
There were replacements, body doubles, like when they, went out in public. So they already had lookalikes, and they just put some, little whipped up a little plastic surgery. But there are things you can't do in surgery, like you can't change your earlobes if they're attached or not. And there were times he wore fake ears, the fall as he.
Yeah.
But if the thing about it is, if that guy hadn't have stepped in and done that, then there would be so much less amazing music by then.
Oh yeah, whoever that
You're
guy
welcome.
is, whoever that guy is, he's a pretty talented dude.
Well, you know, on his own album, backwards, one of the song "Gratitude," it played backwards. It goes, "I was with a camel. I was." It was
Yeah,
so
I've heard
creepy.
that.
It's so creepy. That one's a creepy one.
Yeah, it's trippy.
Yeah, a lot of them are. I mean, I got nightmares from that. I thought I was gonna take a break from the dark stuff that I study all the time and
Mhm.
go lighter on the conspiracy. And I went to the darkest place imaginable. Like I could have never had such horrible nightmares. Like it's scary to think about that. I mean, that really made my world turn upside down. I knew the second that 9/11 happened that was the beginning of something.
Oh, yeah.
That was totally like that was the nefarious overlords, whatever. Yeah, I don't think they're human. I really don't. Like I think they're
Yeah.
Hey guys, since it is Cinco de Mayo, I want to have a little fun for a moment. Can you see my
Woo!
screen share?
Some La
Yeah.
Bamba?
Oh shoot! Well, now my son's
Oh,
coming
dude,
home. So.
are you doing
Hey
the
Cody, how you doing?
time warp?
I'm broadcasting live on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, let's do the time warp.
This
This is
is
brought to us by Time Warp Mandela Effect Coded Reality Residue made this video. He only has
Thank you.
81 subscribers. And this
I'm
only
a
has
subscriber.
2,000 views.
I thought this was great.
Let's play this for a minute. This is
Yeah, this is a good one. And it's creepier because he slowed it down so it wouldn't be
yeah.
taken off.
So put your hands on the hip. Bring your knees in tight. Just say yay, 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 yay.
And they're all in tuxedos.
Do the
Hey, Cinco de Mayo flag.
Oh,
that's Italy.
I can't hear the music, but Harmony, we
You
should
can't hear the
all-
music?
No, but we should all just do a song together.
Seriously? But you can see the video?
can't
Yeah,
hear the
I can see the
music.
video.
I can see the
Okay.
video. I can't hear the music.
They're vampires, man. She's creepy.
Oh. Well, anyway, he points out some really good things in this video here.
In another
Another dimension.
that just stands right out.
Yeah, that one. Well, and when Columbia sings. This was such good casting. I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
Now you're into the time slip.
You can't hear the music?
No.
Nothing
Nope.
can ever be the
That sucks.
same.
Did Tim Curry die by the chance? To
But
anybody?
what? Maybe it's good you can't hear the music.
Yeah, I mean, you won't get pulled.
Like you're under sedation.
There you go. You sung that well.
Thank you. Yeah, Columbia. Her verse gets me, I think, more than any of them, because it's like she is tempted by the devil who looks real handsome and it's like in some nice car, and she is just young and
So here, listen to this. I was walking down the street. A snake of a
of a guy gave me an evil wink.
took me up. He took me by. Surprise. Who does? It's a reptilian.
He
Yeah,
had a
pickup
pickup truck
truck.
and the devil's eyes slits. He stared at
I mean,
me. I
come
felt
on.
a change.
Okay,
Time meant nothing,
stop.
never
See
would
Mona
again.
Lisa here?
Mhm.
Yeah.
She looks
Okay,
pissed.
so here's Mona Lisa.
Yes, she does. She
Now
looks-
she has a straight face.
yeah, she looks even.
Perturbed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the real
What's
Mona
the
Lisa. Let's go on.
Yeah, it's the Mona Lisa from the other
Sorry, it
reality.
took a while. Look
Yeah.
at this. Does that look like a dragon? Did you see that?
Yeah,
No,
there's like a snake.
See
or
the dragon? There's a
Yeah.
dragon.
Yeah.
Skeletons, creepy crab.
And there's something else too. There's like the thinker something. I can't remember what it was.
It's creepy. Let's go on.
It's creepy. Let's do it.
Let's do the time warp again.
You know, I
And
never.
all these people are out of place.
There's Mona Lisa.
Yeah,
so
she looks.
they're
she looks-
mocking us. Okay,
Right.
they're mocking us here.
She looks. Her face does not
Now
look.
pay attention to
It
Mona
looks
Lisa because
really-
later in the video You're gonna jump to the left.
And it's got the black and white, the duality,
That's to do with
the
physics.
checkerboard. like-
When he's talking about jumping to the left, this is physics. It's called you jump up, you do a 90-degree spin factor, and you land back down. This is physics. He's actually describing the physics of moving from one dimension to the other. So you take a step to the left. That's the first thing you do to move to the other dimension.
And you notice, Mona Lisa is in the background.
Completely insider video describing dimensional shift.
So
now look at the Mona Lisa now.
She's looking the other way.
Look now, folks. Did you catch it?
She's looking the other way.
She's facing the other way.
She's looking the other way because it's a mirrored reality.
Whoa.
This is a 100% insider video explaining to you how they are aware of the dimensional shifts, the different realities, and what they do is they mirror realities. This is a mirrored reality, and Mona Lisa is now mirrored. And look,
and they're the elites.
You have blinders on. You
Right.
can't see.
Right.
See, and you have a dunce hat on. You have a dunce hat on.
Little party
You have
hats,
blinders. Blue is they don't like the blue club. White is symbol is, and they're mocking you. What are and who are these two people?
Square.
They're the clueless people in the video.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. And look, they're all wearing black. They're all in a
Debauchery.
row.
They're in tuxedos. They're the
guy.
elite.
There's the red
having
guy with his glasses.
Rothschild party.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's a mirrored reality. Let's move on.
It's crazy. I never thought that this song was. As deep
Oh,
as it
now we're
is.
going to jump to the left. So now we're going to go back to the other reality. We're now going to jump to the left and go back to the other reality. So what's the other reality going to show us? Let's see. What's it going to show us?
And they have the flags in the video too, have to be sort of symbolic of something.
Oh, look. Here we're back to the
Wow.
reality. We jumped to the left. Now we're back in this reality, and Mona Lisa is this way, and they're all lined up this way. See how they're all lined up differently?
And it
But
is reversed.
painting
It's
the
on the
Mona
other side of
Lisa.
the wall. It's on the other wall. It
We
wasn't.
just jumped to the left, and now we're in the other reality. And that's
Well,
what
you
they're
know,
saying.
Dark matter is actually supposedly the exact opposite, or antimatter maybe. But there is, like I've heard many scientists say lately, that if we had an entire world full of, I guess it's antimatter, because they don't quote
Let's
know
see
what
the
dark
time warp
matter is,
again.
then
Look,
it would be like weird.
Mona Lisa. Do you see now? Look.
Wow,
Mona
there's
Lisa
both
there.
of them. That's like superposition right
Do
there.
you see the Mona Lisa here?
Yep.
Why is it there?
Do you see the
'Cause-
Mona Lisa here?
'cause she's tunneling. She's tunneling in
They're
between.
showing you the tunneling.
Yep.
They're showing
Wow.
you the time warp. They're showing how it's an insider video showing how time morphs into the different dimensions. It's a mirrored reality.
Is
They
the
are showing you
Crazy.
right
the red
now in front of your face the mirrored reality.
is the red indicative of blood? It seems sort of.
It does. seem
No,
like
red is the red team.
Oh,
What's the red team?
We don't want to get into teams. There's red, blue, yellow, black, white. There's different teams.
how come pink doesn't have a frequency?
All right, let's just stay focused here. Now, do you see the blue
That would be
halo?
my question. That would be my question of
Do
what I
you
would
see
ask.
the blue halos here?
Yes, I had not
These are
noticed
the
that.
dimensional doorways. So the dimensional doorways are open. The Mona Lisa's
Whoa.
here. You see the blur between the two realities.
Whoa.
That's what they're showing you in this movie. Let's move on.
It's crazy. I've never given this much thought to this song.
And now they're focusing over here to this reality because what did we do? We jumped.
This has got to be the reality we're in right now, where everything's all screwed up.
Yes, this is the reality we're in where everything's all screwed up. We are in the mirrored reality. Bingo. Ding, 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 ding.
Hey,
You got the answer
I
correct.
don't know. I don't
We
think it's
are
come.
in.
I don't think it's come
we
to
are in.
fruition completely yet. I
Effective.
think it's going to get worse.
Are you talking over me?
No, I don't mean to. I just think it's. I think we're moving towards a horrible thing.
But anyway, can I finish?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thousand apologies.
We are in a mirrored reality.
I agree.
And that's what's happening where everything's cuckoo crazy. Let's move
Well,
on.
some days I see people's pictures and things, and they're reversed.
Cut throat. Ooh, that's pretty disgusting. She has a cut throat.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty bad. Ooh. Oh, and there we go. Reverse Mona Lisa. And then he points it out. Reverse Mona Lisas. So they are showing you how reality works and the time warp and how time morphs.
Are they showing it for how it works for them or us or anyone?
It's how it works for them,
That's
which
what I
is
thought.
how it works for us. Is there something beyond that? Yes, there's something beyond that. And that's what we have to tap into. We have to tap into the great beyond the constructs of space and time, since they are illusionary, made up things, and you have to go break free from it and go from the great beyond and look back on it and go, oh, there's time. Now let's correct it.
So if we're in the mirrored reality where everything is screwed up, how do we get into the reality where it's not mirrored and it's not screwed up?
You don't.
We just go with it.
Yeah, I think we have to accept that we have to
No,
move forward.
to move between the realities, yes, you can do that, but for you to figure out how to do it would be like nearly impossible.
Plus, to do that, you'd have to.
I've personally done it on a few occasions.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in a realm that's any more
Nutty.
unexpected and
Well,
out of control.
You remember how they showed you the in between realities?
Right.
Um,
I mean, if you stick a foot in that realm, you're sticking a foot somewhere and there are things there. I'm cool here, That blue light is crazy. I never noticed it.
So crazy. I used to like mock this song.
So basically, do you want to get caught in this in between realm?
Nah, maybe for a minute or two. Check it out.
See, the thing is, you can move from this reality to that reality, but in order to do it, you have to go through this in between stuff, and you have to know the mastery of the in between. And are you a master of the in between? No, you're not. When you are a master of the in between, you can move between these realities. Are a lot of these people making this video have the ability to move between these two realities? Yes, and they're mocking it and throwing it in your face.
Well, I just sing a song right back in their face. That's
there you go.
That's all I got.
Sounds good to me.
Makes me
how do you become a master of the in between?
I don't know that everyone's cut out for it, though.
You don't. You realize that this is all a box. It's all a stage. Do you see the curtains? The curtains are symbolic of it's all a stage.
Right.
It's a game. It's an act. It's a play. It's not real. Reality is what you make it. That's what they're mocking and throwing in your face. And they are masters of manipulating reality, and they got you like a dog chasing its tail, running around in a circle. And they're laughing because you're like a dog chasing its tail, running around in a circle.
Okay, I have seen a lot of like gifs and stuff, gifs, whatever, of snakes eating themselves lately.
Yeah, blah blah blah.
What is that about? No, but I mean, it's why are they? I've never seen so much of it.
It's symbolic.
Aurora
It's
Borealis.
symbolic of time runs in a loop.
But to watch a snake eat itself is awful, and
it's symbolic of time runs in a loop. There is no beginning. There is no end. It's a loop.
You've actually seen
what would cause the snake to do that?
You've actually seen like actual snakes doing that?
Yes, more than one, many more, and like had never seen it. It's so disturbing. I mean, it's just so disturbing because they start struggling with their own body. So I mean, I get the symbolism, but I don't get why
it's
the snake
actually happening.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like, what would possess a snake to do that? Is like they go crazy, or
It's probably frequencies. Just everything's going nutty right now. That could be, I'm just talking out of my
I don't know. Well, that's a good guess, man. Yeah.
But that time warp song, I'm glad you actually pointed that out, because I would have never ever probably have. And now I'm gonna probably watch this all the time and try to show people and figure it out, because I would have never even have thought to look that song up I used to make fun of it when I was a kid, you know.
Well,
And
Rationally 24, did anyone catch that story of some weird snake festival where they kill and torture a bunch of snakes and the kids finger paint in the blood? That's
no,
horrifying. Wow, no, I missed that. But I don't know. Crazy people never question their sanity. That's interesting. Maybe the snake was hungry.
There you go. All right, guys. It's getting
All
late
right.
for me. It's 11:30. I'm
Uh,
gonna conclude the live stream, folks.
it was so much fun. Thank you guys for
Yeah,
having me.
Hey, Effective. It's been an honor and a privilege. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your wealth of knowledge and your heart and your soul with everybody. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you, brother.
everybody go subscribe to her. Her videos are phenomenal. She
Aw.
goes
Oh
over
yeah.
all the stuff, the superposition, all that stuff. CERN,
It's easier when I can show pictures of it. It's
and
yeah.
it's beautifully edited.
Thank you, sir.
You do an amazing editing job. Jeez. I wish you'd redo some of my videos.
I would love to actually. I've thought about doing some
Well,
of your
hey,
videos before.
you have my blanket permission to redo any video.
Sweet. I would probably let you know if I was gonna, do that. But I had the notion before, so now that if I have it again, I'm totally gonna do that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Thank you, Secret Truth.
Thank you, Channel Zero, for joining us and chiming in with
so
your
much,
wealth of
Channel
knowledge
Zero.
and everything.
It's nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too, man. I had a great time.
And
And
Harmony,
it's great having Life Matrix pop in. I don't know if anybody heard him.
That was awesome. And who's
Yeah,
the
it was
young man
cool.
who was doing whose voice would chime in
Nicholas.
sometimes?
Oh,
Nicholas?
yeah, Nicholas is. Thank you, Nicholas, as well.
Yeah, you did a great job, Nicholas. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you were on top of it.
we should do this again. This was awesome. I felt like this is one of the better shows I've listened to, let alone be a part of.
Awesome.
Well,
Wow.
you
I'll-
know,
I'll
whenever
get that song ready for next time. That song.
I don't. Just so you know, I don't have a set schedule on. So whenever you guys want to do it again, just let me know and I'll arrange it.
Cool.
Monday through Friday, typically 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay.
Let me know. We can do it again.
We can do it in superposition.
Awesome.
There you go. All at once.
Yeah.
Multitasking and
All right. Well,
singularity.
you have fun tonight, Harmony.
All right.
Yeah.
You
Happy
just-
Cinco de Mayo, everybody.
Yeah. Arriba!
Hi.
All right, you guys. Peace
Hey,
out.
take it easy.
Take care.
You too.
All right.
So
bye.
this concludes the live stream of Cinco de Mayo. It's 8:29 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you everybody for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Be sure you like and subscribe and like to the
And love.
on the live broadcast as well. Peace, love.
Peace,
Sure.
love.